get started. I'll put my glasses on so I can read. Welcome to the Lander County Commission meeting, Town Board of Battle Mountain and Austin Board of County Highway Commission. Brian, would you go ahead and lead us in the pledge, please?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. All right. Go ahead and have a moment of silence. All right, we're going to go ahead and move on. So Lander County Commissioners may break for lunch from 12 p.m. to 1:15 p.m. Any agenda item may be taken out of order, may be combined for consideration by the public body, and items may be pulled or removed from the agenda at any time. So Commissioners' reports on meetings, conferences, and seminars attended. Patsy?
Thank you. Yes, I did attend a couple. There is one I wanted to kind of bring you up to date on. And on the 21st of May, we had a meeting with our Board of Directors with the Central Nevada Regional Water Authority. And as you know, we've had some very strong opinions over our state water engineer and the things that are coming down with all the different proposals that they have in the legislature. Actually, there's only a couple that I wanted to tell you the finals on, or where we were. Some of them didn't pass, some of them actually we lost along the way, which is a good thing. AB 6, which was proposed by the Division of Water Resources, and that's the one that grants the state engineer discretion on holding hearings for contested temporary change applications. It did pass out of both houses and is currently with the governor. So that one's going through. A couple of them that we were concerned about with different authorities, they did amend in some of the committees. So the Board of Directors is really happy about that. Some we were strictly opposed to, then we became kind of neutral. They removed some of the objectionable language and such that was in it. The other one is AB 356, which was kind of a hot one. It was originally relating to a water conservation program, but it has been amended with a proposal from the Southern Nevada Water Authority to remove the original language and replace it with provisions governing non-functional turf in areas that are serviced by the Colorado River Authority. That one was also amended, and they put together the interim study on water conservation, which will be conducted by the Legislative Committee on Public Lands. Thank you.
All right. So I did the Humboldt County Water Board meeting, and two of the biggest topic, they had a presentation from someone from Marigold. I couldn't hear his name, but it has to do with the Mackey project, and that's a pit that when you go by the interstate, you can see off the side of the road. That's going to be a dewatering project. And so it's already gone and had the environmental impact statement done from the BLM. Because it was Humboldt County, Lander County wasn't notified. When I called Winnemucca to find out why we weren't notified, they said they had notified Valmy because that was the closest town. And so we weren't notified of this project. It'll be a 10-year project, and they will be taking in excess of 10,000 gallons a minute for approximately 10 years.
What aquifer is it pulling from? Is it reside in Lander County?
Yeah, it's part of Lander. It would be the, I believe it's Upper Humboldt water basin. And so, which is a huge water basin, but it's within our water basin. And so, that I called and asked some questions, and even though the gentleman had said, right after the meeting, I spoke to the gentleman who was doing the presentation, and he said, well, 10,000 gallons per minute really is low in consideration to the bigger mines, but it's still for 10 years, so just to, so people know, because I said, as a bird flies, you have all of these residents and things like that in this area that have the wells, so just food for thought. So that was one thing that was spoke about, and the other was they are putting in a salmon farm at, I think,
Cosgrave.
yes, and so it's supposed to be fairly big.
I think it was 60,000 metric tons a year
Yes.
they're gonna produce.
And then they will use the byproduct of the waste from the water to sell as phosphorus for I don't know what, but that was an interesting presentation as well. But that's the only meeting I attended.
No report.
All right. So. All right. So staff reports on meeting, conferences, and seminars attended.
All righty, good morning. So is what I would like to do at some point is I would like to get I'm shooting for a workshop to put together on the 22nd maybe of June. If that doesn't work for all the commissioners, maybe we can move it to a different date, and it might be something better for discussion when we have the whole board present. But is what I want to do this for is to get with Wood Rogers, LEDA, Planning and Zoning, a few of these other boards to come together, because we're coming to a completion point of our master plan for Lander County as a whole. So I think that it's important to get everybody at the table, get a good chance to review what we do and don't have in our master plan, and things that we may want to change with everybody that's making decisions on this at the table. So just food for thought if everybody can start looking at their calendar and trying to find out where best fits for all of us to come together. I know that the DA is going to have to work with that, getting all these boards together. So that's another thing. The governor did sign 44 bills, assembly bills. So we're yet to see what else came out of them. I received them yesterday, so I haven't had a chance to read through them, but there's some change. A lot of it's mental health and things that have come from COVID. A lot of money coming down the pipeline towards them kind of things. And then outside of that, I owe Miss Patsy Waits a apology. I guess that it was my misunderstanding. You sent me that report from the Daily Beast, I believe it was.
Actually, I picked it up on one of the other networks, but I think that's the one that interviewed you.
Correct.
And they picked up your
Correct.
quote, yeah.
Yes, so it was my understanding, I had misunderstood. I thought that at the next meeting it was actually Commissioner Ancho that had came forward and said, that the militia group and the part of the CSPOA being extremists, that she, had done her research and that she found that not to be true from previous statements at a record. And I had thought that was you, so I do apologize. That was not you. My understanding is you still denounce it. You believe that that's the research that you've done, and that's your decision. So I just would like that to be on the record. Outside of that, I think everything else I have is going to be on the agenda, if not an upcoming agenda.
I would like to add something here.
Okay.
Okay?
Go ahead, please.
The 44 bills that Bert was just talking about, aside from the COVID money, there's 5 that impact families directly, and AB 157, and that is people can sue cops for discriminatory conduct during an arrest. And AB 70 it's about depositing money. We'll have to get with Lakin about that. AB 63 is local government may establish fund to stabilize operation of local government and mitigate effects of emergency and natural disaster. That's new. AB 48, I'll have to talk to Liz about this. It's the retired public employees insurance and what they can and can't do. And AB 28 imposes an adverse preference on certain bidders for state purchasing contracts. That'll be Donnie and Bert. I'll get with them on that. Thank you.
And what happened with the net proceeds? Anything?
Not those 44 bills. It was not.
Okay.
What was, he stated AB 157, what was that? I didn't make.
Yes, I missed that as well, Ted. On AB 157, something on people doing something with the cops?
They can sue cops.
Oh,
Yeah.
sue cops.
Cops can be individually sued for discriminatory conduct during an arrest. And it's kind of funny because that's basically what I warned the sheriff's department of in school and hospital situations.
Okay. All right. Are we good? All right, moving forward. For public comment, for non-agendized items only, persons are invited to submit comments in writing and/or to attend, make comments on any non-agendized items at the board meeting, if any. And discussion on those comments is at the discretion of the board. All public comment may be limited to 3 minutes per person, again at the discretion of the board. Reasonable restrictions may be placed on public comment based upon time, place, and manner, but public comment based upon viewpoint may not be restricted. Do we have any public comment?
Yes.
Wait, gotta come up and push the button. Okay. Thank you.
Hi there, Peyton Hilliard, Eureka County Television District. We're actually working on getting on the agenda for hopefully this meeting, but didn't see it, so it'll be next meeting. We were requested to submit a proposal for partnering with Lander County and Lander County Television District to get fiber service from here up to Argenta Rim to upgrade the feed for the TV channels. What would you like to see on the proposal? If I can ask that.
I don't know enough about that to.
I can answer that.
Ted?
Yes, the answer is we would like to see what you propose. If
Okay.
you are going to use our services, what your proposal is. Do you want to, are you offering money? Are you offering, you want us to do it gratis? It's a regular proposal.
Okay. So,
And it has to be that form because you're not you're partnering with a legal subdivision of Lander County, but you're also a private business. We would actually need a proposal.
okay. So a full proposal on what we're
Yeah.
looking and trying to do with. Would you like on that proposal what we're working on with Lander County, so they'll basically co-author, or not Lander County, Lander TV District, so they'll co-author the proposal, or would?
Absolutely. The more you can throw on, the better reception you will get from the commission. I guarantee it.
Okay. That definitely helps. So, thank you very much.
Thank you. Any other public comment this time? All right. Oh, come on.
Muted. Unmuted.
Now I gotta push a button.
You do. To turn it green, please. There you go. Oh, nope. One more time.
I hate this new stuff.
Go ahead, sir.
I'm not here to complain, I'm here to compliment, my name's Lenny Shepherd. And I wanna compliment whoever bladed the road over Hilltop and the Miller Pit.
Nice.
Best I've seen it in 16 years.
Oh, nice.
Now, if you can get him to go do Lewis and Willow Creek, everybody could have a little recreation this summer. The road would be good shape.
Very good. Thank you very much for taking your time to come in. Appreciate it.
Do I have to turn that on?
All right. Anyone else? Very good. All right, moving forward. Going on to the consent agenda. All matters listed under the consent agenda are considered routine and may be acted upon by the Board of County Commissioners with one action without extensive discussion. Any member of the board or any citizen may request that an item be taken out of the consent agenda discussed and acted upon separately during the meeting. Consent agenda materials are available at the Lander County Clerk's Office for viewing, and copies are available for a nominal charge. Number 1, approval of May 27th, 2021 agenda, amended agenda notice. Number 2, approval of May 7th, 2020 special budget meeting workshop minutes. 3, approval of April 22nd, 2021 meeting minutes. Number 4, approval of May 13th, 2021 meeting minutes. Number 5, approval of payroll change requests.
We only got the minutes for April 22nd, is that correct, Patsy? Is that all you received? So I'll make a motion, we approve 1, 3, and 5.
I'll second the
consent
motion.
agenda.
All right. Brian made the motion, Patsy second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Alright, so for discussion and possible action to approve or disapprove the payment of bills, I have to pull out a couple of those. Pull out check number 211804, 211882, 211954, and then for point S, and then check number, I think these are the right check numbers, 1649 and 1673 for Crux Events Party Rental. Is that, are those the right check numbers? Okay. So, other than those,
So, I'll make a motion to pay the remainder of the bills.
I'll second the motion.
all in favor?
Aye.
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 Alright, so for the, 211804 checks, can I get a motion?
Brian can't vote on that, and there's nobody else on the phone.
That's quite correct.
So what do we do?
We're gonna have to defer those 3 checks till we have a quorum of 3, is that correct?
Yes,
Okay,
that is correct.
Is Art available to, by phone?
well, I'm sorry, what were the other 2 for?
They're for the Crux Events, party rental.
For the what?
Crux Event Party Rental?
What are those?
And we pulled those because we wanna talk about them?
I requested to have them pulled.
Because you wanna talk about them, or?
Yes, well, because, I wanted to vote on them separately, is the only
Oh,
thing.
okay, well, then we can do that one, those separately. I mean, there's 3 of us.
Okay,
It's just Brian's, because he can't vote on his own for his employer.
Arthur, can you be on the bridge here?
Right, no, we can talk about 1649 and 1673.
Okay, 1 second.
let's just see if he's on, we can go ahead and
Yeah,
vote.
we're gonna call you over on the, and put you on the bridge line, so I'm hanging up on you.
Those are on the floor if you want to discuss them, Kathy.
I just wanted to vote on them separately.
Okay,
Morning, I'm gonna transfer you, okay?
Sure thing.
Okay, you got it.
Are you there?
I'm here.
Alright, so the first ones we're gonna do are the 211804, 211887, 211954, and those are for, Brian's employer. So I just needed a motion for those.
let me clarify, is it 211887 or 211882?
It's 211882.
Okay, I will make a motion, we approve 211804, 211882, and 211954.
Alright,
I'll second that, and I have to go in the doctor's office right now.
okay.
Vote, aye.
Aye.
Aye, I vote aye.
Thank you.
Aye, I gotta go.
And I abstained, they're made to my employer.
Okay, so Patsy made the motion, Art second, and so then on, what do we do as far as, I'm not on those 2 checks,
Then we'll defer to the next meeting.
okay.
Wait a minute, I'm confused. You pulled them to talk about
Because
them.
I'm going to vote nay on those 2 bills.
You're going to vote nay. Okay, gotcha. All right, then we defer the 2
Just defer
that wouldn't
those 2 to the
pass.
next. Okay, alright, so we're gonna go ahead and move forward. For discussion and possible action to approve, disapprove application by Lander County for the FY 2022 Agricultural Appropriations Committee project request to include but not limited to the projects such as the Courthouse Museum project, Austin Youth Center project, and any other past or future public facility projects in Lander County that the commissioners may decide. Go ahead.
Morning, Commission. Kyla Sharp for the record.
Morning, Kayla.
As you know, we've been working with Porter Group on our Landsville. They also look for different funding opportunities and things that might fit within some of the projects we have going on here. They brought up that the Senate is going through appropriations earmarks, which has not been done in about 10 years. So it's a little jumbled, it's a little messy, but we got it this last week, and they asked to have it turned into them by the 4th of June. Some of the ideas that you guys had given us when we had asked what kind of things do you want them to look for was the Courthouse Museum, the rail depot, I think was one of them, just those projects. So they came back with this, with the Agriculture Appropriations Community Projects request. So there's 3 of them that we kind of were able to hone in on, that we have the information available, that we can actually throw these together as quick as possible and get them in. The one thing that we'll need, if this is approved for us to move forward with, is I will need a letter of support or a resolution addressed to Cortez Masto and to Rosen in support of earmarking these for Lander County, so that they can get these into their committees by the June 17th deadline. The 3 projects that we were kind of looking at that fit and we could actually get thrown together right away, separately, because they're quasi-government, is the tourism. They're putting together something for their board to submit for the Lemaire building, to restore it and turn it into a community building and things like that. Here for Lander County, we thought about hold on, let me pull it out here. How is, I think that this got changed, the Austin Youth Center, Austin Community Center, is that what it's being called? Do you know what I'm talking about? That, I think it's being called the Austin Community Center, maybe?
Yes,
I believe we budgeted it as the Austin Youth Center.
Okay,
Austin Community Center.
I believe on the budget packet, it's Austin Youth Center, is what it is actually budgeted as.
But if-
We could change the
I mean,
wording, I'm
that's
just
fine.
saying what the wording is
Yeah.
on the budget, what was approved through budget.
Okay, but when we refer to it, if we're gonna do anything further, I mean, it is the Austin Youth Center, yes, but because we are really doing everything to improve it, it will be a community center, along with a youth center too, but the name will be community center, so if we're putting in with a resolution, we need that name, but otherwise, I mean, it's the same building, we're all okay.
And if the commission's okay, we'll put it on and we'll just change that in the line item so everybody's addressing it properly.
As a community.
As a community center as opposed to a youth center, correct.
Okay.
Right, that will be just one function.
Yes.
Right, so kinda, if I'm understanding this right, if we do the resolution, then Porter will handle everything for us, we don't have to do anything here,
yeah,
that
so
group will take care of it?
we're actually like filling out the application itself. 3 different, I'm taking care of the youth center one, the what is their names? The tourism is taking convention and tourism. And then, but before I move on, I spoke with Pete Dubé regarding this and asked which would be kind of the first phase that he would want to really focus on. And he stated that the professional design services, which it would be an ask of about $75,000 to $110,000. So in that, you would have the pre-designed services, your design and construction drawings, and the bidding and construction administration report. So if we were able to get the funding for that through these earmarks, then he would then have that group of things that would help him to go out and apply for other grants towards it. So that's kind of where we were talking on that one. And then the last one is a little confusing. It's for the Courthouse Museum, the Historical Society. They also would like to put in for their phase one. Because they are a 501c3, they are allowed to fill out and go for that, but Lander County would have to be their sponsor, I guess. So the monies would have to be funneled through Lander County and then back to them. So that's kind of where the difference is in between all three of them. I hope that.
I have a question on that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Would Lander County, we are the legal sponsor as it is, per agreement from 1992, so that's not a big problem. But would we make the application on their behalf, or would they make it and with us as sponsor?
It would actually, I'm a little confused, but the way I understood it was that we would make it on their behalf. Let me see my email. I'm pretty sure I bought it. The society, this came from Porter Group, from J. Chris. The society can fill this out, but the requesting entity would be the county for the purpose of the society's museum. The monies would then flow through Lander County. Unfortunately, I'm not sure how the reporting would work, as this is still a new process. That information would follow, but I'm assuming best practices like how the county pays contracts. I'm sorry, I don't have information, but I will get it to you soon.
I have a question, Caleb. As well, with any grant, I'm always interested in what are the strings attached to the grant?
Yes.
What are we tying ourselves into? What are we committing to in future? So I would definitely be interested in all those conditions to that money if we were to accept it.
So I did mention that to Porter Group, and the answer that I got was it would still be good to apply for it because we do not have to accept it. So because there's so many moving parts with it right now, being that they haven't done this in 10 plus years,
Okay.
that once, if we are awarded and we see things in there that we do not agree with and we don't want to move forward with, we do not have to accept the money.
And then I had a question. Ted, and I think you and I had discussed this before, of the courthouse, what exactly we're going to do with the courthouse?
Yes, we have discussed.
And what, so, I mean, isn't that something that we need to have as an agenda item in of itself for ideas and things to do with it?
We need to discuss that from two different perspectives. You're quite correct. We would make application for monies to turn it into whatever we want to do with it, but we have to decide that by agenda item. However, prior to that, we have to decide and go over the fact that it was made a historical site without county commissioner approval, which is the signature of our last plant manager. So that has to be talked about too.
Okay, so is that something we can just, that whole thing we can have on a different agenda item?
It'll be on the next agenda.
Okay. All right.
So I chose to leave out the Courthouse Museum just because I knew there wasn't a lot of information that I could pull together in that short amount of
Okay,
time.
no worries, thank you.
I'd like to point out that I think Miss Kyla is going to be leaving us here shortly. She's done a great job and more appreciated than a wealth of information. She's self-trained, done above and beyond what anybody expected without any job description or scope of work or anything to even go with. She just jumped in with 2 feet, made it happen. Been driving back and forth from Elko to here for I don't even know how long now.
Almost 3 years.
Yeah, a few years. And she's going to go enjoy her family for this summer and pursue some new avenues in life, and we wish her well. But she'll be deeply missed by us because she's done a great job, so.
Absolutely have, and thank you, and you are truly appreciated.
Thank you.
Yeah, I don't,
And I want to second that. From a legal standpoint, I want to second that.
yeah, and I don't know what a good proper recognition for Miss Kyla would be, but I just want her to know and the board to know that it's a big part of our team that'll be missing, so.
Yeah, thank you,
Thank you.
Kayla. It is a big loss, so.
The projects that you've handled have been very diversified, for sure. So that's one of my concerns. With you actually not gonna be with us to fill out the applications and such that we need done. If we pass to do a resolution in this one, then we can have most of the things filled out properly, right? And then we put on the next agenda, we're still okay. Our deadline for the resolution is the 17th of June.
Yeah, no, it's actually, the way he explained it to me is I have to get these applications turned in by the 4th, which is my last day. So I'll get all 3 applications turned in as long as it's approved here. Then those will be turned in to the senators. The senators then will request for you guys, for all 3 boards actually, to turn in a letter of support or a resolution. Those will get made up and sent to them within that week.
Okay.
And then it'll go forward from the 17th. So probably more oh gosh, when's the next meeting? 10th. The 10th? Yeah, it would have to go
Okay.
in probably by then.
Well, I'd hate for us to miss out on something that we may be able to utilize here because of the deadline. So I'm gonna go ahead and make a motion that we approve the applications for the Agriculture Appropriations Community Project. And the projects would be the Courthouse Museum, the Austin Youth/Community Center Project, and the Courthouse Museum. And ask that we fill out the applications to be followed by the resolutions.
May I?
mean the Cookhouse Museum.
I'm sorry?
The Cookhouse Museum.
May I? The Courthouse Museum, we're not going to put in for, but it was for Lander County, just us, it would be the Cookhouse Museum and I just lost it.
And Austin Youth.
And the Austin Youth Center, yes, community. It would just be those 2 for Lander County.
Patsy, you just read Courthouse Museum
I
project.
just read the Cookhouse Museum too, because I thought we had to apply for that also.
Yes, I
Yes.
just mean take off the courthouse. We're not doing
We're not doing
courthouse.
the courthouse.
The Courthouse Museum is not going in on
We're
that?
not doing, not on this because there has not been anything properly done or handled on it yet.
But if we get the funds, we actually can do the design and everything on it.
Nothing's been decided to put it as a museum or anything yet, am I correct?
You are correct, but I suppose we could leave that in there as part of that and then decline if we did receive the grant. I guess that is an option if that's what you're referring to.
Commissioners, 2 suggestions. One is that we put it in just in case, and number 2 is that we do some type of agreement or temporary contract with Kyla to make sure that she finishes the paperwork, even though she's no longer employed.
Do
She
you
can
guys-
recontract.
Okay, that's fine.
Do y'all have the information for the courthouse though?
No.
I can't write the grant without having the information for me.
Yeah, but you could get with Amy, right?
Okay.
I'm fine with however way you want to do it, but if the funds are there and they could qualify for it, I just thought we should ask.
Yeah, we can always leave Patsy's motion as it stands and Kyla can do the research up
Do
until the
her
4th
best.
and put in what we can, and on the 10th we will update you on whether we did apply for it or not.
Okay.
I'll second her motion.
Okay. So Patsy made the motion, Brian second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay.
Thank you again, Kyla.
Thank you, Kayla.
Yes, thank you very, very much.
I'm not moving.
Go ahead. So, for the update, on any future broadband issues,
Okay, so I got a bit of an update. I know that there's been a lot of questions kind of surrounding the efforts for Lander County to bring the fiber from I-80 in, and we have been working on that. We put out the RFI, we got quite a few responses. However, the responses none of them were granted what I'm going to talk about today. So the Rural Digital Opportunity Fund Phase 1 it's an auction that is part of a broadband effort by the FFC to close the digital divide in rural America. They did this back in December 7th. The FCC announced that millions of rural Americans in 49 states would gain that access, and they granted monies to thousands of providers to do this. They have a 10-year timeline to deploy the broadband to over 5.2 million underserved homes and businesses. So there was 2 granted for Nevada. What does this mean for us? Nevada was granted $63,536,610.90 in support. 2 of the providers that won the bid for Lander County, California Internet, and they're doing business as GeoLink and SafeLink Internet LLC. They are granted $504,043.50 for deployment of that dark fiber, the fiber, not dark fiber, the fiber to Lander County. This means over the next 10 years, these 2 companies must construct the interconnects from the freeway into the communities. What is Lander County's part in all this? Unfortunately, we wait. But we stay on top of those 2 companies, talk to them, find out where they're at. Nevada's main focus for the monies that they were, not that they were granted, but the companies were granted, is the I-80 corridor across Nevada, so we fall right smack in that. Good news about it, we will be getting what they call the gigabit internet. Is you are able to download 1 billion bits per second. This is definitely much higher speeds than the traditional copper lines. So this is all good news. This is good news, but it's just not, it'll kind of save us money in the long run. Some of the ideas that you would want to do in the future once they're finished, because they are working with Nevada Gold Mines as well. That I heard that through the grapevine, to bring broadband out, and supposedly Nevada Gold Mines has told them they want them to bring it right straight through the middle of the communities. So we then will jump on that bandwagon, find out where the areas that are still underserved are in Lander County, and then assess the situation at that time. So you guys would then decide if you want to bring additional services in or not. And there are grants for that as well. So you would, if you would like to, you apply for that grant. You, as Lander County, not you, sorry, Lander County would then be the owners of that line and lease it out to SafeLink or GeoLink, whoever it is that's here to then bring it to our residents. That's in a nutshell, if
Nope.
that explains all of it enough.
Thank you.
thank you
Okay.
very much.
Mm-hmm.
Move forward. For discussion and possible action to approve or disapprove the termination of the agreement between Waddell, owner of Fallon Air Motive Incorporated, and to give the proper notice per current contract. Alright.
Morning. Morning.
Alright.
Alrighty, so I brought this before you guys, brought it before you in budget as well. Currently, the contract is with all of our contracts, same with, mosquitoes and everything else, Maryland at the park, that we are not paying contractors and providing the equipment as well. So when this contract come up for review, and some of this started coming, it's a 10-year contract, which Lander County doesn't typically do. And it's, we're providing the equipment as far as the fuel trucks and everything else. So this is another one of them contracts that's coming up. I personally believe that Lander County can run it and run a good, clean, no different than I believe we can do that with our library. There's obviously going to be some bumps and bruises, but currently we pay $70,000 a year, provide all the equipment. Mr. Waddell has to provide staff, and he can clarify everything else he provides, the staffing out there, and then makes any of the profit off the fuel sales. So I think that it's something that needs to be looked at and considered, and we can, as we get deeper into this discussion, I'm sure today we can iron it out.
Can anybody enlighten me on why we approved a 10-year contract? That's not typically normal for what we do.
How long ago
Two
was that?
is typically what the county does, and we never do anything over 4 that I've ever seen other than this contract. Why 10, I'm not sure, because it surpasses everybody's term on the board.
Right.
So I'm unclear on that.
I think one of them was because of our past history, that we had been with the one here for so long, and nobody else was stepping up to do it. And so, when Mr. Wardell came in and said, I can, we looked at it like, gee, we don't want to be doing this every 2 years, because it really is a difficult one to handle. And I think that was the main reason behind it. We just didn't have anybody else that was stepping in at the time at all.
And what is the difficulty with having Lander County do it?
So we budgeted for it. The difficulty is that Lander County would have to put out the NOTAMs, which is notice to airmen, for weather and different things like that. That's kind of a tough part. Other than that, and there'll be training that takes place for that. Other than that, Lander County can reach out to our engineers. We have resources to reach out to. The people that are on staff out there currently, they know what fuel they're pumping. It's become a lot more convenient for pilots out there. If you're with AvGas, you self-serve. If you're with Jet A, then they pull out and they fuel you up. And last year we sold about 100,000 gallons combined fuel, 80,000 gallons that I think roughly, and I'm speaking rough numbers here just so everybody knows, was Jet A. The thing about if it comes back to the county is we can go in, we can update that pilot's lounge a little bit to where the pilots have 24-hour access. Right now they don't. There's lights out that are on the runway that when I spoke to staff out there, they had said that it's not really their thing to change light bulbs. They don't want to get electrocuted. Little things like this, I think that the county can provide a slightly better service with boots on the ground there, day in and day out. As far as ordering fuel, we do that already for the Austin Road and Bridge. We do get all of our quotes, order fuel, sell fuel. It should not be extremely difficult unless somebody can point out something here that it is.
On the fuel sales, does Lander County recoup the profits off the fuel sales, or does that go to the FBO?
We get, 5 cents a gallon?
Say again?
10 cents a gallon, I believe, is what right now the county is receiving off of fuel sales. Anything above and beyond that.
And then is there a report submitted on?
Well, there are supposed to be reports that are submitted to the county. That was one of me and Mr. Wardell's conversations on reports. We haven't had the best of communication. They're supposed to be submitted to Justy. There's some confusion on how them reports are being submitted. So long story short is there are reports, yes.
And we get our reports for our Austin Advisory Board too. Well, sends them to us.
Yes.
So would we have to hire somebody full-time to be in Battle Mountain?
Yeah, so the budget that's approved for July 1, you would have a full-time employee, non-benefited part-time employee, and then you'd have 2 summer temps that would be out there during the summer, which is when the major work occurs with the BLM and the tankers landing and all the fuel that's moved, then if there are any fires.
Some of those we need anyway, even if we contract with Walt, right?
What's it?
Some of those people?
No, not that, I believe
He provides all those people?
He provides I don't know if it's 1 or 2 full-time that he has out there right now. I believe one's full-time, one I believe is part-time. He could answer all that.
It's seasonal. We always have 2 full-time people there. And then as we get into the summer months, you can go as many as 7 or 8 part-time people.
So we think we can do this less than $70,000?
No, it's not the 70,000, it's the included fuel cells and everything else that comes with that. I believe that we can provide a better service at an equal price.
Better how?
Pardon? What was the question?
How are we gonna
Better
provide a
how?
better service? I've had no complaints, 0.
No,
How's it gonna get better?
when I say a better service, I think that we can, update the pilot's lounge to where we have 24-hour access to the pilot's lounge.
Couldn't we do that anyway?
That we have people on the ground that are, part of Lander County and what we're doing here. I will tell you right now that, the few conversations we've had, I haven't had one conversation where Mr. Wildell has not started cussing profusely. And I can go deeper into detail with that if we'd like.
So Patsy, just in just commenting on your question, I think anytime we can run something our own and support our own, I think we're better off. That's my opinion, versus having a contract. And it's nothing to slight you or against you, but if we can do it, we recoup all our profits off our avgas. We're making our facility nicer. We're hiring people from our own local community. I would think that would be the right direction to go, would be my opinion.
So I would like to point out though that it's not just the 70,000.
Right.
Any maintenance that's done on vehicles out there comes at our cost. Any maintenance done on buildings comes at our cost. Any maintenance done anywhere on anything comes at our cost. And that's one of the areas that we had a dispute, is that anything over $1,000, I believe it is, or $1,500, something like that, in the contract is Lander County's responsibility. So my interpretation of that is if you got to put a fuel filter on a truck, which would be under $1,000, say it's a $150 fuel filter. Well, if you order 10 of them, then it's over $1,000, and now the county is responsible for that payment. I don't believe that that's a fair shake for the county. And these are the conversations that me and Walt have had, and that's not a fair shake to the county. I'm not going to pay a bill that just because you ordered 10 of them, now we have over $1,000 bill. That should not be our bill. That simple. It's I serviced them all at once. I don't think that's a fair shake for the county. It's sure in my position, it's a hell of a lot easier just to sign off and say no problem. I don't want to have any issues here. But I'm going to tell you that's not who I am. You have to do what's right and what you believe to be right, and we can sit here in front of this commission and discuss it in an open meeting and see what it is. But these are the things in the contract that need to be cleared up, and it goes back to the legality of paying. If I was to start up an excavation company here and had you guys buy my excavator and buy all of my stuff, but as all I did is show up and you guys pay me for my time to be there, well, that's not how the process of bidding jobs or fair market business goes, and I think Ted could speak to that on a legal side of it. So these are concerns that have led us to taking over some of our own stuff in other contracts and rerouting other contracts, and I think that if we're going to do that, we've got to do that fair across the board.
Yeah, after the last year of looking, we basically try to contract everything out instead of doing some of the stuff. And the way I looked at it was, be no different if we contracted out our swimming pool, and to somebody else to run. Yeah, we are paying for all of the equipment. I don't understand, if it's something that we can do, and we have our own employees and we can control exactly what happens, then why would we bid all of these different jobs out when we can do it ourselves? And especially when we're providing all of the equipment as well.
An addendum to that, it's your equipment, but I pay $900 a month for it. It's not free.
And the $900 is.
Well, I would like to go ahead and hear from you, Mr. Wardell,
I
on
want
your
to
side.
the answer to my question.
Oh, I'm sorry.
The $900 is rent that comes off of the total payment that we make to them, or out of the 70,000. So the total I believe that we pay yearly is the 57 or something. I would have to pull that up and have the exact numbers, but roughly something like that.
So then,
I'm not sure what the question is.
She had a question for you.
Okay.
No, I thought you had something to share with us on your side.
Well, I look at the numbers and they seem fair to me. When I signed on for this, the numbers were low, and I stood up and said they need to be higher, and that's why they're higher. The fuel trucks, there are no payments on the fuel trucks. The county has owned them for the last, going on 5 years. I pay $900 a month. How are you losing money on that? I'm required to pay the first $1,000 of maintenance annually. It's better than doing it yourself and having to pay the whole bill and not getting the $900 a month and not having the expertise out there to run the airport smoothly. And like I said, I've had no complaints. It's been running smooth.
I have a question. Mr. Wardell, how many days a month do you feel, or actually, how many hours a month do you feel that you're actually at our airport?
How many hours a month, what?
Are you at our airport?
Myself or my employees?
You.
I go out there 3 times a month.
3 times a month?
Yeah. Or if I have any problems, if I have to hire people, I have to make extra trips. I don't keep track of it. But I definitely have to be there for payroll every 2 weeks.
Well, I'm speaking to the statement that we need expertise out there, and I'm assuming that you're the expert, right? You're the man that's knowledgeable in the industry, so
Yeah.
I'm just curious of how much time is actually spent, your knowledge on our base. So if you said 3 days a month, so you're saying 24 hours a month is spent at our base?
Yeah, probably not even 24 hours a month, but I have spent time training my people to handle that.
All right.
A supervisor shouldn't have to be there 7 days a week.
Right. Okay, well, thank
If
you.
you have trained and qualified people, and I have that.
Okay.
The BLM is very happy with our service.
So with getting people trained to do the equivalent of what he does, what will have to happen for that?
Well, obviously, we're gonna advertise for the jobs if the county takes it back. And, we can't say that who will or won't get the job, but if the people that are out there put in for the jobs, they would obviously have a leg up because they're familiar with everything that goes on there. If that was the case, then the training is there, and I'm not sure what we're considering training. What we're calling training, pumping the right fuel, I guess. I'm not sure. Maybe he can expand on what the training is, because it's all of this is very much like the landfill, for example, is another thing that in a lot of counties you see they farm their landfills out. Well, if you guys look at our landfill and what it does in the budget, it generates a tremendous amount of money.
Yeah.
And it's just reason to look into this. It's same, and you can talk about the training of a landfill and what goes into one of them. And I'm not trying to sidetrack here, but I'm just trying to give a full understanding of how difficult or not difficult things like this are. And I would like more clarification on what exactly we're calling training.
Training is things like a Block 146 pulls up for fuel, and you have a trained person to put fuel in that airplane, because if you don't, it'll overpressurize and blow the wing off that multi-million-dollar airplane. That's what I'm talking about, training. And I don't think you have it.
If we don't have it, the people that are out there, I think, they fuel me on a regular basis, and they do a fine job. I believe that that's what we're calling training.
Are there other counties who run their own airports?
Yes.
Are you contracted with Churchill?
Say again?
Are you contracted with Churchill?
Contracted is what?
With
Churchill.
Churchill County?
Churchill County.
I rent from Churchill County,
Oh, okay.
and I have for 31 years.
So, are there other counties that run their own airports?
I believe so, and I hate to put you on the spot, but we have David back here with JUB. I feel that's probably more of a neutral party that can speak to everything that's going on here. He's our engineer for Lander County for our airports on both sides. David's very familiar with multiple airports and all over the place. He might be able to be better spoken to what is and is not the norm, and maybe even can point out some possible pitfalls that we would be in as a county by moving forward here, or some positives. I would like to hear from sorry, David, to put you on the spot, but he's, you know, he should have our best interests at heart. He's our engineer.
Morning, Dave.
Morning, David Meyer, JUP. To answer your question about Nevada specifically, I don't know. I did not do any research on that. There are public entities that own airports that provide their own fuel. That's, you know, an allowance through the FAA. In fact, the FAA makes an allowance for the sponsor of an airport to have exclusive rights to provide fuel on the airport that they're the sponsor for. To my knowledge, the FAA's only allowance of exclusive rights to protect your right to prevent a private industry from coming in and competing with your fuel sales. So private industry cannot prevent another private industry from setting up a second FBO on airports. That happens at bigger airports. But as a sponsoring agency, Lander County would have that exclusive right. And so we don't work with any airports that I know of. I don't personally work with any airports that, you know, provide their own fuel free of FBO. But it is done around the country. It's not unheard of.
So pitfalls that you could see of a county running it, is that too broad of a question?
I think that training is very much a fair point, you know, making sure you have the right people. I think, you know, the unfortunate timing of your changeover in fiscal year is going to mean there's a little bit of a trial by fire. You know, BLM's here, if you have any questions specifically for them, but, you know, their fire season contract starts June 1. Fire season unofficially tends to start right around the 4th of July when you combine alcohol and fireworks and dry vegetation. So, you know, I think that that's a very reasonable concern that needs to be addressed is having that staff up front that can hit the ground running. I think to Walt's point about, you know, his ability to fluctuate seasonal help, you know, as a private industry, if he gets a fire season that nobody expected, he can go out and hire, you know, 2 or 3 people to come work, you know, 20 hours a week during the busy times to load up. And I think that is something that the county should have some understanding about their constraints budget-wise versus a private company's ability to manage payroll a little cleaner. I think just finding that champion, you know, to be able to handle it all. I mean, to Bert's point about, you know, my understanding, I haven't reviewed Walt's contract word for word, but my understanding is Walt's contract is to provide fuel, you know, to provide NOTAMs, and, you know, my experiences with Walt have always been good. But to Bert's point about maintenance around the airport, about having someone who comes up during budget and advocates for these projects on the airport at a budget meeting, comes to a commission meeting, speaks for the airport. You know, there's been talk about trying to revive an advisory board around the airport. It's just, the airport's been kind of left to its own devices in a lot of ways for a lot of years because it makes money that way. And I think that, you know, whatever the county decides to do, I have no stance. I enjoy working with both parties, you know, but I am here. My job is to help support the county in their endeavors. And so I think that's the biggest pitfall is not being ready to, when you hit the ground running, and not having people that can take this. But I think those people are out there, and, you know, I think that it can be an attractive job for somebody.
Thank you, David.
Thank you.
One of the things is though, under a regular termination, I do believe it's a 90-day. So if we decided to do it and gave notice in June, we'd have June, July, and August, the main fire system taken care of while we're trying to do something else. So it isn't that we'd be starting over on June 1st when BLM and the fires and the rest are there. So that is a point if we decide to do that, but thank you.
Commissioners,
Yes?
I have an observation and a recommendation.
Okay.
The observation is, for the last 6 years while I've been at my office, the county has done its best to gain local control of all these contracts. And we've done that. We started with Layton Hall, and we have the library on the agenda today, and it's just we are trying to take local control of our own infrastructure, and I think that's a good thing. That's the observation. The recommendation is whether you decide to go out to keep out or go to the county. I recommend that we give him 90 days notice of this contract. And if you want to stay with Walt, we have to enter into a new contract to be compliant with state law. Because 5 years has gone by on a 10-year contract, and I don't think we should go any further on a 10-year contract. We need to get it down to 4 if we stay with Walt. But either way, we need to give notice and to be in compliance with state law.
Okay, thank you. So yeah, it's like in fire season, like we had a handful of years ago, when are we as a county up to hiring everybody that we're going to need for fire season to help?
Seasonal help. Seasonal help. Yeah.
So as far as seasonal help, we have a fair amount of seasonal help that we put at the golf course and that we put around the county as is. If it came right down to it, and I'm sure that if I get with HR and the DA that seasonal help could be pulled and put to somewhere that's better use or better fit for the community, which would be out there if need be, or out at the golf course, killing gophers if need be. So we do have options.
So, Ted, this might be a question for you. So we could, if we were to give our 90 days to our FBO, because I would like really the other 2 commissioners to be here and a couple of our aviators that live here in town to be here, so we can have maybe further discussion. And then at that point go a direction to either terminate the contract, or if not, to renegotiate the contract for a 2 to 3 year instead of a 10-year.
No, well, my recommendation is that we terminate the contract anyway, in order to be compliant. At that point, at the end of the 90 days, you can decide within that time frame, you can decide whether or not you want to go out, stay with Walt, go out for bid, or have Lander County control it. But either way, I suggest and I recommend that you give 90-day notice starting today.
Right.
Okay. And then we'd come back and we have a full board to decide whether we want to go.
Well, because it's a big thing to our town, and it's like I think all commissioners should be involved.
And I agree, absolutely agree. So.
Yeah, so would you guys, I guess after your motion, but do we want to put this on the next agenda with all the commissioners to discuss this?
Absolutely.
But I'd like to start our 90 days today.
Okay, that will be in your guys' motion, but, the other thing that I would like to say is, me and myself and Brian, I did speak with Tyler this morning, Peterson, and I would like to have a chance to sit down and, talk to our previous operator, who's a local guy that knows more about the airport than anybody.
Rick Harless?
Yep.
Yes.
He knows more about this airport than anybody, and he is a wealth of knowledge. He lives here and loves our community, and I think that he would be wonderful if I can get him to come speak to everybody on what he thinks is probably the best fit for moving forward. It might be good for the whole commission. So I will reach out to him and ask him if he's willing to come and speak.
Okay. So because we have to redo the contract regardless, is there a motion for the 90-day?
I'm really not in favor of the 90 days immediately, and even if we were to make it, I would probably go with June, because I like the idea of the continuity being there through the summer season. I really do. So I just soon wait, and we'll do everything at the next meeting.
Fair enough. Yeah, because if I make the motion, you're not in favor of it, it's not going to
Right.
go anywhere anyway.
Right, that's true.
So are we good for doing that?
You bet.
Then
Put it on
we
the next
bring the whole thing
meeting?
back to the next meeting?
You bet.
All right,
Thank you all.
Thank you.
thank you. forward for discussion and possible action to approve, disapprove the job description for Lander County Information Technology Administrator. What?
Sorry, I was over here.
You're all right. Do you want me to read it again?
No, it's okay.
We're on number 5,
Number 5, okay.
okay?
Yes, so this is for our IT. So we have a job description there. We plan on going out and trying to get a county IT. Right now, the way that I want to mix and match this. The money that we have to put forward will never hire us a good IT. I think everybody here is in agreement on that. I've spoke with one of the better ITs in the county, old Robert Quick over there. He believes we have 3 job descriptions into one. You know, that we need multiple people.
This is a different one.
Job description.
Yes, Robert hasn't seen this job description, sorry, Robert.
Oh,
This is not the job description we had him read.
yes. But long story short, it's a lot in one position, regardless of how we put it. So, is what I would like to do is a hybrid. I would like to try to hire an IT for the county that gets familiar with all of our systems, and have them do some sort of time and material with, whether it be PC computing or who's the school use? Oasis. One of these other companies that can come in and do some of the small tie things together to make it more of a seamless process, because there's not enough work there for 2 full-time ITs, and there's not enough money there for one IT that would probably be able to handle it all, nor would they be able to, because they got to take days off too. And you know, computers go down, printers go down. They are full time bothered with these little things. And I don't know if Robert would like to speak to that, or if I'm close to the right things. That's what this job description is, and
So
so
let
we're
me
trying to get
understand, so the
approved.
hybrid, we would make a salaried position,
Correct.
and then they would also build time and material?
No, not them directly. That would be a company like PC Computing.
Oh, got
used
you,
to
or
do
Oasis.
Yes, or Oasis. We would get an agreement with them where they would bill us time and material to come over
Oh, I see, I got it.
if need be.
I'm interested in hearing from you, Robert.
Yeah.
I did want to ask, I mean, it's a very complicated job description, I think, especially if you're not familiar with all of the things you're asking. So I wanted to ask where we got the description. Did it come from Pool Pack or from Pool Pack?
Yep. Yep.
Because we've tried to do this before, and getting a qualified person is very difficult, I know. So I guess I was under the impression when we hired the one through Sadie's office and Mr. Green, that would be part of our county too, that he would work so many hours for Sadie and then for us too, but that's not a go?
That was
Well-
I had that question too, Patsy.
Yeah, so is how that's working is Richard is county IT as well with additional duties. He's being paid additionally by the assessor's office to do the additional duties, but he is Sadie's employee. And he is swamped down with everything that goes on just in Sadie's office and the assessor's office and the recorder's office. So he can't really be much of county IT. He doesn't get to make it to Austin very often. There's a lot of other loose ends that aren't being tied up here, and we rely heavily on Robert, and Robert does a great job for us. But then he occasionally gets kicked around for being an assistant, and he does awesome. But we're trying to eliminate that third party go through, because we have no authority over what Richard will or will not be doing. And it's not all about authority, but it's about the cohesiveness. And there is not much when they work directly for an elected official. And it's nothing against Sadie, because Sadie's been extremely understanding about letting him come do our stuff. But when something really needs done, it's really hard to make happen unless they work for you. I don't know how to better say that.
Well, and I think that we, after some of the things we found out from the last county executive, that we have some huge gaps in our security, huge gaps. And so, I think that we're money ahead by having someone here that's able to work for the county, instead of trying to do overflow from Sadie's office, because we have issues that need to be addressed. Robert, please.
And just so you guys are aware, you've approved the position.
Right.
This is just a job description.
Robert Quick for the Sheriff's Office. I did have several conversations with Bert and his staff regarding the IT position they're looking at. I haven't seen the latest job description, but I can relate my recommendations that I gave to them. For the budgeted money that the county's budgeted for on that type of position, there's no way that you can hire a person with the knowledge that's required for it. You need a person that can change a mouse on a computer and go into a database as an engineer and adjust that. And it's not possible with the amount of money that the county has budgeted for. I think that their solution at this point to hire a more of a managerial type person to administer the network and administer outside assistance when they need that expertise is probably going to be your best bet at this point.
Thank you.
Thanks, Trevor.
I tried to even coax Robert into additional duties, but he wouldn't respond to my email.
Yeah, I'm sure didn't.
I did ask the sheriff about that. And I can't say that in public.
Well, we may have some adjustments to do salary-wise and whatever, but we're just approving the job description. So I'll make a motion that we approve the job description for our information technology administrator.
I will second the motion.
Patsy made the motion, Brian second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Very good, thank you. Alright. Do you want to take a break?
Sure.
We take a 10-minute break, please.
Muted. Do you want me to address this?
Hold on, Ted.
We're waiting for the mics to make sure the mics are working right. Hang on one
Did
second.
they line up right?
Okay.
Yep, green. Yep.
Okay, we're good.
All right, we're good to go. And yes, you can go ahead, Ted,
Would you reread that in? I don't know that it was on the.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay, yes, absolutely. For discussion and possible action to approve or disapprove the agreement between the State of Nevada Department of Health and Human Services Division, Public and Behavioral Health of Lander County.
So I
Okay, under state law, we have certain assessments that are mandatory. And this agreement includes all those assessments.
Okay.
And you'll take note that this contract is the only contract we have to enter into between Lander County and the State of Nevada Department of Health and Human Services. And it is substantially lower than the prior agreements. We can't figure out why, but it's good that it is.
Okay. All right. Any questions?
Yes, I'm a little bit confused. Is this like the one that we did before when they were going to actually come in and visit so many days a week? Or are they just
There's still to do that under this one, Kathy.
on call?
Those are mandates. There are certain minimum standards that are mandated, and they're called assessments under Nevada law. And there's nothing in this contract that we can legally get out of. But we used to have before a hybrid contract that included these assessments and a public health nurse from the state. Now that we have our county health nurse, we don't need that other part of it. So we have to do this at a bare minimum under Nevada law.
So I think what Patsy's asking, Ted, and correct me if I'm wrong, because it looks like it's a person coming out to do these things. And that's the way the contract looks, but it's not. They put it in as a salary for an individual, but an individual is not coming out. They're just the mandates that they are required to offer us. So if we need those assistants, then we can call the person to come and do it.
So it's
It
kind
does
of an
look
on-call.
like a salary position, but it's just the actual procedures that they have to require to give us.
if we would have any kind of,
Yes.
something that we need them for, especially if it's a mass.
Yes, so it's not an individual body coming out, it's just a mandate requirement.
Got it.
Yes.
Because before we were looking for a person, I think, at one time.
Well, and I
Okay,
believe
so
that's what,
it's a 2-year contract?
yes, and I believe that's what the reduction is we were previously paying for the salary of somebody to come out and attend like our flu pods and different things of that nature, that's what Ted was referring to was not canceled and probably should have been canceled when we hired our own health nurse. So now that this contract's up, we're stepping back out of it and making it proper.
Thank you, I appreciate the clarification.
All right, so is there a motion?
Well, since it's mandated, I guess, I will go ahead and make the motion that we approve the agreement between the State of Nevada Department of Health and Human Services, Division of Public and Behavioral Health, and Lander County. And who signs this one? Maybe our county. Authorize the, there it is. Board of Examiners, Deputy Attorney, Lander County Representative. Okay, I'll authorize either our chair or our county manager to sign.
I'll second the motion.
So Patsy made the motion, Brian second, all in favor?
Aye.
All right. Moving forward, for discussion and possible action to approve, disapprove the contract between Lander County and Elko Library Services, or to discuss and decide whether to proceed with a Lander County library.
So I did get an email that a lady would like read into the record here for the library, and this email came from Miss Connie Vaughn in Austin. Connie, are you on the line by chance?
Hold on.
Okay, would you like to read this, or?
She stepped outside for a moment.
Oh, she stepped out, okay. So I will read her letter into the record here for her. Please read and record into Lander County Commission meeting on 5/27/2021. I am concerned about the decision being made today regarding our library. I think a bigger picture exists, or it is being overlooked or even missed completely. I believe there is a whole lot more involved in making a library exist than cost, space, utilities, and payroll. The only items openly discussed so far, I do not believe have any of you possess any knowledge or experience to bring a standalone library, let alone 2, into existence in 24 days. As Lander County, who reads, I know. Does a business plan for the new standalone county library exist? Do any of you know specifically where, when, or how libraries get their books? It is wonderful that the Battle Mountain Library is at the Civic Center, a building already owned, already owned by Lander County and can be easily absorbed, except for the cost of everything already covered in the contract with Elko County Library, including Austin. Are there any written plans and or estimates for the cost of renovating a space in the courthouse in Austin, or is that even a real idea? Is there anything documented anyway that demonstrates what the Lander County manager and friends want the Austin Library to look like? I want to know the plan, where, when, who, how, what exactly is to happen. What is the budget for this project? What is the timeline for Austin? When is opening day specifically? And for the idiot who wants to control what materials are in it and how the money is spent, that individual is going to fund out of his own pocket, right? I would like to know what material is carried by the Elko County, Eureka County library system, specifically that he finds so objectionable. Please name them for me. Because I know for fact that if you are wanting specific materials to be available, there are channels to go through and acquire it. Has any request been made, or only baseless complaints? As for any material you do not approve of, don't check it out. There is another good point when tracking system is going to be used for the lending of materials. I understand some charge per item. What would that cost be? By the way, outside of Patsy, When was the last of any of you who have checked out a library book personally or even set foot in one book library? I can appreciate the wanting control. I do not appreciate being told what to do either. And the place for the library in Battle Mountain already exists. It makes sense in a way, but only for Battle Mountain. This is Lander County meeting, not a city of Battle Mountain meeting, correct? I do not believe in Battle Mountain. I live in Austin and work in Austin, more so specifically at the Austin Branch Library. Bert, you said Austin will not be without a library. That you are not taking away our community resource, that 24-hour working days until July 1st. That statement infers the existence of a plan, not just a few numbers jotted and crunched on paper. There is no plan for Austin right now, today. Only ideas of what might work. That means that by not signing the contract, you are in fact taking away community resources without a plan to replace it. It is in fact that come July 1, there is not to be an Austin library. It is extremely difficult for me to not take this decision personally because it is personal. You are taking away my livelihood. You have told your father that I will not have a job very soon and I will be unable to pay my rent. I would like to state that is not true. Miss Connie Vaughn does rent from my father. I've never been here to take anybody's job away. The decision not to renew the contract with Elko County Library Services currently on the table is a mistake. Mark my words, if you do this now, not renew the contract without a specific community-approved written plan with a timeline and a budget, it will never happen. If the illustrious leaders of Lander County really want to do this, create a standalone library, I implore you to do the right way. Not just jump off of a cliff like this. Libraries are about community and cooperation. Not even Library of Congress can house every written word. Libraries work together and share materials amongst them, so patrons can get items to their homes libraries do not have. Has this been considered? Have any agreements been explored, discussed, made with or without library systems? Make a real plan for the entire process. Find out how, when, where books for libraries come from and the cost associated. Decide on location, get estimates, contracts with remodelers in place that include start and complete dates, create and develop relationships with suppliers, invite community input on what they would like in their libraries. Programming ideas from the community you serve would be better attained by community having a real opening day. This may be against the rules, but it is me. I formally and respectfully request a motion made that we accept the contract with Elko County now and seriously invest time and resources into developing a real plan for our standalone library over the next year. If done right, we could have a fully functional stock with material opening day of July 1, 2022. Sincerely, Connie A. Vaughn, Austin, Nevada.
Very nice. With that being said, I'm gonna open up this conversation because I received a call from a lady who utilizes has utilized our library countless times, about $18,000 worth of books she has read. So I believe that she definitely has a right to say something. So she asked me to contact Hadley Library in Round Mountain. It's actually Round Mountain, Hadley are the same thing, but anyway, so I did. I contacted the lady who runs that, and boy did I get an earful, and in a good way. So that library there is a private library. However, their budget for that library is $2.3 million. They buy $170,000 a year is what they spend on books. Yeah. So holy cow is right. And I went through the virtual thing, and it's a absolutely beautiful library. And so I sat on the phone for just about an hour with her and talking about libraries, because I can absolutely say I had not a clue, and I'm not going to pretend like I did. But she has been the director since 2004, and she said that it's not just as easy as stopping a contract and then trying to take on another. For one, you have to make sure, even though you're not, you don't have to have somebody with the bachelor's degree, your library still has to have a certified librarian, meaning they have to understand how to catalog and do all of that. And so, yeah, it made me wonder that if we're jumping off something entirely to too soon. She also said about the state, utilizing the state, and they called it, if I'm pronouncing it right, the clan system, and she said it's not always that easy to get stuff from the state. And, sometimes their systems are outdated and you don't get things, and it's, so if, in her suggestion, one of the things she said, if you're wanting to change something within your library, that we have something aside from working with Elko, and that we promote and build and bring in and do something different also, and that we throw money into it instead of jumping off and just taking it over thinking that we know what we're doing. And I have to agree after speaking. I mean, for one, their budget alone, what's the budget for the jail a year? Okay, you know, so for 2.3 million for a small, and it's not a huge library, but it's a decent size, but I mean, that's a lot. And like I said, the $170,000 worth of books is just, to me, is mind blowing. So I think that, did I jump back and forth? Oh, absolutely. So I just think that before we jump this off, I think that we should start investing some money and time into our libraries, there, this one and Austin, and see what we know, figure out if we know what we're doing before we take the whole thing on.
How many employees does Round Mountain?
I do have a couple comments on that for Round Mountain, because I brought up Round Mountain.
1,700 people is all Round Mountain has.
No, how many do they employ at the library?
I'm thinking that she said three or four.
I'm just having a hard time calculating $170,000 a year in books, but they have a $2.3 million budget.
Because the reason why that is because they don't have school libraries, and so they utilize a lot of purchasing some of that stuff for purchasing stuff for the kids, for the like we have the high school library and the Eleanor Lamar School Library, and so they actually receive, and part of that budget is that I'm thinking it's the state gives them, because I didn't clarify, 67 cents per student, and that's probably where part of that.
Because they use it for, they utilize it for education?
Because they're utilizing it for education, so I wanna make sure I can get as much information in that I got from her. So, go ahead.
So I would like to point out, I brought up that library previously when we had these conversations, because that is the Taj Mahal of the state of Nevada. Full blown, like if you want the best library system in the state of Nevada, that's that one. Mostly funded by, I guess the mine funds of that. And then the other thing that I would like to make sure that is clear and on the record is that when Miss Connie had reached out and asking if she was going to have a job, I said, if Lander County cuts this, I can't promise you that we would hire you back. Everybody wants a promise that we will bring you back. I can't make them promises. Everybody has to put an application in, but yes, it would be, you work for Elko County right now, you don't work for Lander County. So yes, you would lose your job. Would you have the ability to put in for a county job? Yes, you would. No different than the people that are here at our library. So I just want that to be clear and on the record that, this is not me wanting to cut anybody. It's just me being upfront and honest with people. We aren't bringing you back guaranteed with anything. It's an application for everybody. And the honest fact is if we cut this contract, all them jobs that are there, they are lost. Just because they work for Elko County, they don't work for Lander County. So I want that to be clear. This is not any more than just the truth, and I don't want to mislead anybody with false hope. But with that, I know that we're referring to Elko and Eureka. There's 17 counties. What are the rest of these counties doing? And these are the questions that myself and Ted have asked. What are the rest of these counties doing? Because there's, we're missing some. The one privately owned library that you're referring to is the Taj Mahal that's paid for, which, by the way, if you compare anything in Round Mountain to anywhere here, the mine fund, they own and fund their grocery store, their gas station, the whole town.
And that's what they say. I mean, and I'm not going to be perfectly honest.
Library included. So we aren't comparing apples to apples when we call Round Mountain. Now, if we call Pershing County and we call some of these other small counties that are like us, them are fair comparables that give us a better idea. They are expensive. Libraries are not cheap. That's what and the record keeping is a big deal. Being able to trade books between libraries and keeping record of it and create these partnerships. And I think that's what I would like for the county to consider as much as anything here is what are the other counties in this state doing? And why would we just join Elko and Eureka, which is a great idea, I love it, if we had some own say, but when they won't allow the people that are working in our library to call the cops when they feel that their lives are at risk, I have an issue with that. I take issue to that. And when we can't go in there and address that, because these people will lose their job if they're told that they're telling us this, well, I take issue with that, because these are our people. If they feel at risk there in one of our buildings, we should have the right to go in and check on them. I mean, these libraries, I've been into quite a few libraries. The one in Fallon's a nice little library. I have my library card there. I go get books occasionally. But you go into these libraries, you get some, I mean, they're open to the public, and you get some real scumbags in there, for lack of a better word. I wish I was more professional with words, but I mean, these random people come in that if I was an older gentleman or a lady behind the counter, I would be concerned. And they should have the right to reach out, say, hey, I have somebody in here that that is surfing the web for pornography, and I don't like it. These people that are in there, they can't go tap them on the shoulder. They and feel safe to tell them they need to leave because of what they're searching. These are the things, the concerns of what brings this to the table today. Not just that Lander County wants to take back our library because we're willy-nilly. We have people that can't even tap somebody on the shoulder and ask them to leave the facility because they're surfing pornography on a public library's computer. And if they're threatened, they can't call the cops. That's what puts it here today. It's not that we have no local control.
Bert, a couple of things. On one of them, I think we asked the director that, and I said, do we have any restrictions on the pornography? And I thought she said we did.
Yes, but they're very limited on what so certain webs can interchange with other webs, and this is how it's been explained to me. And so the people that are somewhat knowledgeable on a computer can bypass these firewalls or whatever I don't know computer term, but they're bypassing, and there's a fair number of individuals that are going into our library here that are surfing pornography.
Okay, and this was one of our main concerns, is we needed to have a few more talks, I think. But I have a couple things. Connie hit several things that we had discussed before, and the main one was, if we do decide to do this, I think we need more time so we can really investigate everything that it will take, any kind of interlibrary loan privileges we have and all this. But I do have a legal question. And one of them was, in our contract, it says we have to give 60 days written notice before the contract expires. And I don't think, I mean, they know we've been vacillating and we've been discussing it for a long time, but I don't think we've ever given 60 days written notice.
Didn't we, in one of our meetings, didn't we say to give written notice?
I didn't remember us doing that.
Ted, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe this contract actually expires June 30th.
Right.
So
Yes, it does. There's a number of things I'd like to point out. Number one, when Kathy was talking about talking to the librarian, if Lander County decides to have a Lander County library, there is no certification required. The only thing legally required for Lander County to do that is to appoint a board of trustees, and those could be the Lander County commissioners. Now, if we wanted to enter into a state agreement wherein we can exchange books and stuff, we have to meet minimum standards. And that is different from Lander County initially starting a county library. We don't need anybody certified. And that woman gave you bad information.
Well, and I don't
And
think.
Bert and I talked to the assistant AG, and we verified this, and there's no question about that. Now, if you go with the contract, I want to point out that not only the 60 days, which is, I don't like, just like Patsy says. So on number 6, it used to say Lander will recommend to Elko persons to act as library assistants. They changed the word on it, and it says Lander may. They not only don't give us any say, they reduce the small amount of say we have. And And I don't like that either.
Okay, so if you have a board, and I think I asked that question last time to Ted, if you have a board, that's where the certification as far as getting books with the state, where you meet where you make that criteria, if we wanted to utilize the state to
No.
get books?
No, so the state, all the board does is replace a certified librarian.
Oh, okay.
So it acts in place of a certified librarian as a board. The books is with state archives, and that's a separate contract in itself. The county would have to enter into a contract with the state for the archives and then start the exchange of books is my understanding. Now if I'm misunderstanding anything there, Ted, please correct me, because like he said, we did speak with the Attorney General's office on this and the proper procedure to move forward. Would our library system as it sits right now suffer for a year? Probably. It probably would have a good bump in it, getting everything set up and getting the ball rolling. Would I think it'd be a decent idea if Elko would want to rewrite a contract to give Lander County some sort of stake in the game. I think that's a feasible option, but to not have any say in it and pay so much, it's not a fair shake for Lander County, and it needs to be considered.
And I don't disagree with that.
I just wanted to clarify, because this whole thing about pornography was brought up, I heard before and around. And so I talked with the librarian, and because it sounded like a inflammatory issue, but turned out it was just one time several years ago. And it was, she went and tapped on the shoulder and said, "We don't support that." And there's a young girl sitting next to you, and he looked kind of sheepish, and he shut it off. So it was one time. So I think that's getting kind of blown up. Plus there's preventive stuff, a tech can do if we get a good IT tech. So I just wanted to clarify that, because that sounds real inflammatory. And the other thing was, there was one time with that, she went outside to call the police, but a guy was looking at a Islamic site or something, and he was standing there marching. So like you said, there's sometimes some crazy people in there, but and I don't know why we wouldn't want a certified librarian.
So can you put your name?
I'm sorry, Ruth O'Day.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Ruth.
Thank you. Okay, so.
I just wanted to
No
clear
worries.
that
No,
up,
thank-
because that
thank
was
you.
like blowing it, and it's avoiding the real issues, which you brought up, and that lady with her letter did, which I thought were covering a lot of good issues, and Patsy with, it's a lot of money involved, and I'm not sure, I just wondered if you all had all the information we needed yet to make that decision.
All right, thank you. Appreciate it.
Morning, Linda.
So, my name is Linda McMahon, and I live in Kingston. And I do have a letter from one of the Kingston residents who is a regular user of the Austin Library that I would like to add to the record as well. But I have a number of questions. I've been trying to research this and find out more. I listened to your board meeting, and what I am very unclear about is I absolutely could not find anything online to differentiate between a county and a public library and what the parameters were for the county library. So can you tell me what the source of that information is, the differentiation?
Ted, you want to address that?
We asked our attorney.
NRS 379. Now, that's a good point you brought up, because that's the point that Bert and I addressed with the assistant AD. There is no difference between a county or public library, but in other words, they are used interchangeably. However, if Lander County starts its own library, it won't be part of the Nevada public library system unless certain certifications are met and we join those associations. So we would be a Lander County public library without any associations at the point of creation. we would have to, like Bert said, this will take about a year to enable all those points of contacts and those agreements. But we can start one if we wanted to legally, just by appointing the county commissioners as the board of trustees.
So,
Does that answer your question?
well, I still have a number of questions. In reading about the board of trustees that's required, it sounded to me like for the first board, the county commissioners could appoint members, but one would be appointed for 1 year, one for 2 years, one for 3 years, one for 4 years, and then they'd start rotating that out, and that would be, I believe, an elected position. Is that correct?
Would not be an elected.
Not necessarily, no.
Okay.
And Lander County could, the county commissioners could appoint, or they could temporarily act as the board of trustees.
Okay. And if the contract with Elko expires, what is the immediate plan then? Are you planning to be without a library until you have this board set up and all these things, or can you hire the people who are there, so that they could start?
So we currently have a budget to hire people. We would have to appoint this board as the board of trustees for the library, and we could hire people. We have an approved budget to move forward with hiring people for the library right now.
Okay. So, thinking about the Austin Library, one thought that I've had that I did discuss with the superintendent of schools, Mr. Russell Klein, we have a library at the school down there, and because the number of students is so small at the school right now, there's a lot of unused space, basically, but there is a library in place, and the school district would be open to discussing whether there could be a joint effort to combine the Austin Library with the school library. And I know that I spoke at length to the elementary school librarian the other day here in Battle Mountain, and she was telling me about the wonderful programs that they have. I believe Renaissance is the name of one of the computer programs where the students are able to read at a specific level, and all of the books are rated for a specific level, and so they're trying to advance to a higher reading level, and their teachers are able to see very easily how the kids are doing, because they have to take a comprehension test after each book that they read. She talked about how like when the junior, or when the middle school moved over to the junior high, they gave them a lot of the books because she didn't want the higher level books that might contain violence or sex or something, so they were sent to the junior high for a higher audience. So that might be a touchy issue as far as the students at the Austin Library, but they might have to keep their books separate or something just to make sure. But that might be an option to explore rather than thinking about moving them to the county courthouse in Austin, which to my, anytime I've been in that building, it seems that the space is all in use. Would you agree, Patsy? You have an office there,
I had
don't you?
never heard that they were considering moving it to the county courthouse. There was some consideration about the senior center and whether they might be able to have room to move it there. I've heard that. So those are things we might, if we have our own and we decide to move, those could be other agenda items, of course.
Yes, if we can't
But
continue
certainly
the
not the
lease of the
courthouse.
building that's
No.
there.
I'll nix the courthouse.
Yes.
Okay.
The courthouse is not the place. We don't have the room there. And I would like to address what Ms. Ruth said. If that, because I had heard, and I think one of our commissioners have heard multiple times, I did not mean to expand on anything from the pornography or the people coming through there and the cops not being able to be called. These have been brought to me multiple different times. So if this is a one-time deal, then there's some misinformation that's going out there. So that is not an intentional expansion.
Yeah.
She did end up talking to HR about the guy marching in the library, and HR, when she had trouble with the librarian in Elko, but HR listened to her whole story and kind of agreed with her that she did the right thing, but she didn't like getting yelled at.
Okay, I just wanted to clarify that for everybody here that heard today, because I know that I'm not the sole person that has heard this. It's been circled through the community. Yes. But at this time, I think that we would try to continue the lease on the building in Austin would be our first options, because it's already has the books, has the shelves, has everything there, and then move forward with it there. If we can expand it, that'd be great. I think everything that we want to do in this community, we want to make better.
Thank you. Thank you. So can I ask some other questions, and I have a few things for consideration as you proceed. Have we assessed the number of books that are owned by Lander County? Because it's my understanding that Elko is already removing some of their books and things. So do we have any idea of what inventory of books Battle Mountain Library has and Austin Library has?
I believe Elko was getting that inventory together. I have not seen an email with the inventory given back to us.
Okay, because, I mean, there is a possibility that we would be left with very little inventory, am I correct?
Well, we paid $120,000 for how many years? I think we should have a fairly decent inventory.
Okay.
One of our commissioners is calling. He would like on the bridge line here. But I will say that even if Elko took the books, whatever books we do have, Lander County intends on putting in our books and having sole ownership and including ourselves with the state, so we can start into a book trade where when people need a book, we can order a book, and work with the state like a lot of other communities do. Like I said, there's 12 other counties that for some reason we haven't been able to explore to get the true numbers of how they're all doing it. I'm sure there's some other co-ops somewhere in the state. There's multiple libraries throughout the state. There's got to be some other options.
Because you had mentioned the Pershing and the Mineral County libraries, I did look on the Pershing County website. They talk about belonging to CLAN, which is the Cooperative Libraries Automated Network. And I tried to see if I could find out what the cost for membership was, if it's based on population or, how they determine that. I absolutely couldn't make sense of that. I found one invoice that Carson City was paying like $60,000. There were several different invoices ranging from $58,000 to $69,000 a year, which that concerned me because I don't think that was included in the figures that I've heard you mention.
I was going to say, I think in previous meetings I reported on exactly the numbers of what it costs for Pershing County to staff their library, and for some reason, and I want to say $170,000 or something like that of their $300,000 budget a year was in staffing. And these are once again rough numbers. I should have brought them with me today, but I stated them in a previous meeting.
But I don't think this interlibrary loan program was mentioned in what I heard you say watching one of the YouTube videos.
Yes, and I believe I made that inclusive of the $300,000. The only part that I separated out of what I previously had mentioned with Pershing County was the salaries and wages, because that was one area that I felt that there could be cost savings. So that was what I had separated out. But I do believe that it included the loan system. It did not. I didn't specifically say that, but that's what that $300,000 entailed. $60,000 going to the state for a loan.
Okay. So, did you have somebody on the line?
Oh, he's.
I need to point out that the contract that Elko wants us to sign states on number 6 that the library assistant in Austin shall be expected to devote 12 hours per week exclusively to the library facility, and the Battle Mountain assistant shall be expected to devote 26 hours per week. So we're just talking about, we're paying $120,000, and the staff is only there for 26 hours per week in Battle Mountain and 12 hours per week in Austin.
Right. So is there a possibility if Lander County were to go on its own that you might increase that number of hours so that it could be a more readily available service to the public?
Yeah, so we,
That was my understanding.
yes, our budget reflects that, yes.
Okay. So,
This is Commissioner Clark. Hello?
Hi,
Can you hear me?
Yeah, go ahead.
I think it's time for us to get our own library. That's my commentary on that.
Do you have some other questions?
yes, I do. So I also talked to the librarian down at Hadley, and it is a very fine library, but she indicated that they were supported by taxes now. And so did that come up in your conversation with her?
She said the net proceeds was, they get money from they utilize money from net proceeds.
Okay,
So, that was the part of the taxes that she was talking about.
okay,
Aside from the mines, obviously, helping hugely, and then the 67 cents per student that they get from the state, because they utilize it as a school library as well. So they
Okay.
have to, like, 3 different sources
right.
that
Well,
fund them.
And I will say, whenever I have been down in the Hadley Library, there are always school activities going on. The classes come over and use the library, and they have somebody specifically designated to work with the kids. And so I know one of the Battle Mountain residents mentioned to me that her kids had summer programs at the Battle Mountain Library, and I don't believe those exist anymore. Am I wrong in saying that?
I have no idea, because that would fall under,
You know, if we definitely go our own library, this is the kind of information that we would need at that time. I think that we need to consider. So, you've got some really good points, but I think right now it's between Elko or our own, and then the rest, you know, we have considered and appreciate your new considerations that we would be making, because I think we'd be making a lot of changes.
Right.
Well, some, I don't want to say a lot, but we'd definitely be making some.
Right. So the other things that you know, I think need to be considered for sure are the computer equipment. I understand that the computer equipment in Battle Mountain is quite old and should probably be replaced.
Those are all under the new contract too.
Okay, and I'm concerned about the Austin Library, because it was my understanding when the school was able to install the wireless high-speed cable at the school, that the library was to get that too. And the last time I was in the Austin Library, she told me that they had just gotten her computer hardwired so that she was able to access the internet, but they don't have wireless access. Like, I asked her if I could connect to it, because I thought that was part of what was being done, and I'm not sure. I know the state was involved in that contract. JoJo from, I believe the governor's office, I know was involved in that, and I know the school got a tremendous deal on you know, getting that taken care of at the school in Austin. But I'm wondering whose responsibility it is to see that they get the wireless access, because I thought that was what was being installed at the library as part of that. So were the commissioners involved in that part at all?
No, but it should be either Elko or depending, or it should be us. And the other thing is, my understanding is we haven't had additional computers in Austin for the public, and that was one of the things under the contract we were supposed to have, and we don't have. So there's several things, but those are things that have to be addressed either way.
Okay, and I mean, a big concern is who will order the books.
Right.
I mean, that's a really important piece, and the interlibrary
Are you
loans.
volunteering?
So, no, but I would really encourage you to try and have some community input, because there are a lot of people that this is a very valuable service, and So may I just read the note from the Kingston resident that wanted his letter submitted? Said, my name is Richard Potashen, a resident of Kingston, Nevada, and I would like to comment on the upcoming closure of the Austin Public Library. I have frequented the Austin Library on a number of occasions and used the excellent Nevada section to gather research for a mural I am creating for a local business in Austin. Connie Vaughn, who staffs the library, has been very helpful and cooperative. I feel the seemingly impulsive decision not to renew your contract with Elko County is arbitrary and capricious. Without any organized plan to restructure the library under Lander County auspices, why bail out now? Why not renew the contract with Elko County for another year, giving Lander County the time to reimagine the Austin Library under Lander County? Perhaps you can create an advisory group to offer guidance in this direction. Anytime an institution of knowledge and learning such as the library is closed for an undisclosed period, it is a blow to the local community. I also worry about Mrs. Vaughn being unemployed for an indefinite period of time. Austin and Kingston are struggling communities. We lost our clinic a few years ago. Austin lost several businesses before and during the pandemic. Losing our library is not getting back to normal. So that's from Richard Potashen.
So I want to make sure that everybody's clear that we are not closing our libraries. There must be a little misconception out there that we're going to shut the library doors and nobody's going to be allowed back in. That's not the case.
I think you're very familiar that there often are misperceptions that take place between Austin and
Yes.
Battle Mountain, and that's the fear, of course. And Kathy, I appreciated you sticking up for us at the hospital board meeting in regard to our clinic, but that's been a major loss to the Kingston area, and we would hate to lose any library service on top of that.
Yeah, and I know there hasn't been, that was never put out there that was going to happen, and I'm sorry.
Is what I will say is that the same, and I would like the community and anybody that, if you can bring this back to Kingston, Austin, everybody to know, the same concerns were heard when we took over the Austin Water Department. There were many concerns about, well, what are we going to do for staffing? Are they going to leave us hanging? Does anybody? And it's been nothing but, I've heard nothing but good things since we actually increased staff down there. Austin's my home community, and as soon as my kids are out of school, I'll be right back there. I don't want to take anything from it. I'd love to see it grow. I'd love to see it get bigger and better. Full time, I definitely miss Connie. I know her riding around her four-wheeler all over the place. I think she's a wonderful lady. I don't want to see her lose her job in any matter, but I can't promise her anything.
Right.
So I hope that that's understood.
I understand that.
And that we want to keep them doors open down there. We want to improve it for everybody. Some of the things that I don't think are being looked at right now are the grants and the things that Elko County can put us in for, and the binders that come with them grants that we have to comply with and don't have any say in applying or not. And them are considerations that this board has to consider, and when I read through these, our district attorney, all of us are considering. We want it to be bigger and better down there in Austin. No different than we did with the water department. We brought on an extra employee down there, so we have 24-hour coverage like we didn't have before, and we've continually improved. We want to do that same thing. So this isn't just for Battle Mountain. The appearance may be there that that's what it is. It's definitely not. Because nothing else we have done or this commission has done has been to leave Austin out. When we do something down here, we put a dog park in here, we try to put one in Austin. Patsy she doesn't let that slide by, trust me. So please bring that back, that this is not, we're closing the doors, nobody's allowed in, because that's what sounds like the perception may be.
Right. And
Commissioners,
Yes?
if the board decides to go with Elko for another year, I would recommend that you would not accept the contract as written. They've thrown in a lot of new language, specifically number 14 and 15, that really ties us up if we decide to end the contract in the next year. This new language was not in the last agreement, but it is in this agreement. And specifically, I'm referring to number 15. if you would please look at that in your backup, you'll know what I'm talking about.
Did you say number 15?
15.
Yeah, number 15 is in the new contract. That's the one I was reading, that says we have to give 60 days notice. And Ted says that's the new contract. The old contract doesn't have that,
Okay.
right? Thank you.
No, yeah, under 14, and number 15. And what we have, this new contract, if we decide to end it in a year, we will have to accept responsibility of service and contract that Elko is unable to cancel, including but not limited to internet services and OPEB benefits and the ongoing costs included therewith. And that was not in the last contract. I do not like this language. They're throwing it in on us, and I don't believe it's fair. And I would say if you wanted to stay with Elko, you renegotiate this contract.
You know,
I agree with Ted. I think that we need to be careful with Elko County. I do not want to get any fine print spider's webs for Lander County. I think we should do it ourselves.
Is there anyone on the line for Elko County?
This is Kathy.
Sorry, we didn't hear your name. Can you state it again?
It's Kathy Isnicky, the director.
Okay, thank you. Do you have something to say about the contract?
The language that was added in, we did let the board know last year that we would be updating the language, and we did go through our district attorney's office to do it. The 60 days notice was to give us time to cancel, and at this point, I think the main thing would be for the internet. The board, you did work with Dojo to get e-rates for your libraries. That was a 3-year contract. The board selected Sky Fiber at 3 years. That is what you chose. That is what we signed on for. If you choose not to stay with Elko, you would lose the E-rate discount. You would have to certify yourself for E-rate. And we would be handing off the internet contract to Lander County.
so Cassie, let me ask a question. If we went ahead and approved the contract today, of course, we see your new information in there. We actually could get out at any time with a 60-day notice. But our question would be, we still would like some negotiating on some of our concerns, and that we might be able to maybe amend the contract after we look at this. And would you be at least would you have an appetite to looking at that and negotiating? It's just everything is the last minute. There's only 6 weeks left to go, and I'd like to go ahead with the contract. But I would like to negotiate with you on us taking over a little bit more, and so I'm asking if you have an appetite to work with this, even if we go with the contract today. Is this something we could amend?
Before she answers that, excuse me, there is no 60-day out. The 60 days is if there's a breach of the terms of the agreement. And that's another thing, that's why I referred to number 14, because we don't have a right to end the contract within that year unless there's been a breach of the terms. And we've never entered into a contract without an automatic no-cause cancellation clause.
You know. Right.
On number 14 where it says breach,
Yeah, I thought we had the right. Number 14 says we have the right.
under breach.
I think there is a clause for 60 days, but I think that if you choose to end before the next fiscal year, we need at least 60 days notice. So I think he's right in that the contract would still be a year's contract.
Yes.
As for renegotiating, that would actually be up to the library board. I don't have that authority.
Well, those are things I think that the commission would like to consider. So I guess if we did approve this contract, we would have to approve it with a condition that number 14, take out the word breach, and we would have the right to cancel at any time with 60 days notice.
I have a question as well. For the internet, it's for
15 too.
Don't we have the ability to get the same type of fast speed internet? Because we've dealt with JoJo as well. I mean, we have the ability to do that on our own, and how long is a lag to do that? Do you know?
We do have fiber at the Civic Center, but I'm curious as to if Elko County would be willing to do a month-to-month basis, or some sort of continuation of the current contract that we're in without a new contract until some new terms could be negotiated that our district attorney could agree on.
Okay, that would be number 14. And we simply would say that we want to take out the word breach, and she would have to okay it with her board too, but that we want to be able to get out of the contract with a 60-day notice, and I think we need 60 on this type of thing.
And what about number 6, where they changed the language from 0 to...
Number 6?
And 15 too, Patsy. We need to renegotiate number 15.
The thing is, this is hard to renegotiate with only 6 weeks left. So, I'd like to, so what I think.
The language is not in the old contract.
If
we
we
can get out of the old contract by not renewing the contract. We can't do that if we sign this contract.
Right.
Yeah, we can't, we can't.
Yeah, that's not a good idea.
So.
That's why I was asking if they would be willing to do a continuation of the contract we're currently in on a month-to-month basis until we can either negotiate a new contract or choose to remove ourselves from it entirely.
I would need to call probably a special board meeting, and maybe Bert, if you'd be willing to attend that meeting, whether virtually or not, you can discuss it with the board.
You bet. I'd like myself and the district attorney to attend if the county commission so wishes to give us that direction.
So that would be my concern if we moved from the contract to our own county-owned library, would be the slump or the lull that our residents would feel. So if we could continue on a month-to-month basis while we prepare and we start to make that transition, I think that would, because I want to go the direction where we own our own library. And I think that's a smart way of doing it without creating an upset for our community members.
We just need more time. I guess the problem I have with a 30-day month-to-month is that that's not going to be really good in the eyes of a library board. I mean, if it was coming before me, I'd say, if you're going to quit in 30 days, I'm going to need more notice than 30 days to do your inventory. And
well, they would have that right to negotiate that with us, I believe, and that's what we're asking for, is that we stay in this contract on a month-to-month basis that we're currently in, and bring these negotiations back to this board on what they need. If they, here's the things, we want to be good patrons. We've been with these people for a long time with Elko and Eureka. We want them to be able to adjust their rates that they're going to have to adjust for Elko and Eureka. We also want them to get a good inventory. We also want to be able to re-employ people if that's the route that we choose. And if it takes 90 days, then that's what it takes. If it takes 120, that's what it takes. But I think that in good faith, we should all be able to start working towards what we're hoping to get to and having a better understanding of what the library is. I don't know that 30 days is ideal. We could find out when we meet with their board. Maybe 120 is ideal.
I'm more for a quarterly basis myself, and I think if we just offer that may be one thing we don't have to discuss any further, and we'll go with the other things we really need.
Well, and their issue also as far as cutting hours, I mean, they're cutting hours, so they're not going to be open as long. They're 12 hours a week for Austin. I mean,
we've always done that. That's it. They didn't cut the hours.
Yeah, the hours that are in the contract were approved by the Lander Commissioners.
Yeah, that's what we paid the
salary on. If you wanted to
on.
expand or cut them, we would go through you.
Okay, I'm gonna make a motion that, we request the Elko County Library Services to consider a new contract with us and negotiate, and the current contract be extended on a quarterly basis.
Without a second? Okay, so that's his motion dies. So do we have any other motions for this?
I would say we,
Yeah.
think-
I'll make a motion that we go in the direction, we tell Bert and Ted to go in the direction of, establishing our own library.
Do I have a second?
do we have, Art, would part of that motion be that we continue on with, the Elko County Library on a month-to-month basis, so we don't create interruption for our community members with our existing library, why they do that?
Yeah, sure, I'll amend my motion to go month by month. Until
only-
we establish our own.
Art, the only difference between your motion and my motion is the extra time that we would be giving when we finally terminate, that's all. And I don't think it can be done in 30 days. So my motion
Well,
says
your motion
quarterly.
died, Patsy, mine's on the floor.
Okay, so go
Do
ahead.
I get a second?
So I would have to caution the commission that we have to get the Elko County Library to agree with moving forward with the month-to-month.
Yes.
Exactly.
So in the absence of Elko County Library agreeing to a month-to-month, what would you guys like to do?
We'd move in the direction of putting our own library there. I mean, I would hope they would be willing for the greater good of everybody to work with this, you know, so, but if they're not, then I say we still move in the direction of putting our own county library.
And we make sure.
Yeah, I agree, Brian. I would hope that Elko would be a little more amenable to, helping us too.
And in the case that they don't, we,
We tell them we have.
You understand that the motion, means that if Elko County does not agree to this, that the contract, is valued on June 30th.
yeah.
What did you say?
Unmuted.
It's, if Oakland County does not agree that this contract is done on June 30th, so we have to make sure that there's not any, interruption in services for the library.
So there will be
Well,
a
not, yeah.
small amount.
Just on advertising alone for the job, we would bring them job descriptions back before you guys. There would be an interruption of service for roughly a month, which is of concern. Hopefully Elko will work with us. Is that an option there for Elko on the line? I mean, what are the feelings?
Cassie, are you still on there?
On a month to month?
Yes.
Like I said, I can't speak for the board on that. That would be entirely at their discretion.
How soon could we get a special meeting and myself and Ted could possibly be involved so we can probably hold a special meeting here and make our move as well if need be. But I'm referring to you having a special.
I can see if we can have a special meeting next Thursday or Friday.
You bet. The sooner the better for us, I believe, is what it sounds like, and then we can start there. We will start moving here either way.
Okay. Well, I'll reach out to the board chair and see if I can call a special meeting.
Okay, I'm gonna try one other motion.
Well,
No, there's a
wait,
motion
so
on the
there's
floor.
already a motion on the floor, that's waiting for a second, so.
Art, based on the new testimony, do you wanna change that motion, or?
No, I still want to head in the direction of our own library and have Bert meet with Elko and see if they'll be amenable to helping us out in the transition.
Ted, that's a legally sound motion?
Yes, it's my understanding. The words of the motion mean in plain language that we are going to allow the contract to cease as of June 30th and reach out to Elko to try to get into a month-to-month contract until we can develop our own county library.
Okay, I'll
Is that
second.
what you're saying?
Thank you.
I'll second
Thank
that
you,
motion.
Ted. Thank you.
Okay, you're gonna have to tell that back to me again. I have no idea what just happened in that motion. I'm sorry.
Art, you want to repeat your motion?
I made a motion to move forward in the direction of establishing our own library and to ask Elko to assist us in the transition, just the way Ted said it.
But that our contract would cease on June 30th of this year.
Yeah, I don't want to get into that new contract stuff. That just sounds like a spider.
I understand. I'm just saying the motion has to contain those words, Arthur.
Oh, okay. And additionally in my motion, we'll end the contract on June 30th. We'll let it expire.
So Ted, I have a question.
Okay.
Could we make a motion that we just ask Elko to consider our old contract extended on a month-to-month basis, period?
That's what it's supposed to be, is that,
Yes, but that would mean that the contract would cease to exist. The yearly contract would cease on June 30th.
yeah. So the yearly would end, and it would go.
It would
to month to
expire.
month.
The
But on
old
same-
contract.
Whether Elko agrees or not, you need to understand that under the words of that motion, the yearly contract will expire on June 30th.
So, do you understand what,
Not
It
really.
seems like that's the big issue, getting rid of this new contract.
He adds so much more that I'm not sure what the motion
it
is.
was that, the one that we're in, it will expire, but we'd ask them on
We asked him to extend it,
that to extend it to a month to month.
right?
Until we were able to get up and running as our own library.
Ted, I have a question. In the contract that we're in right now, we pay them on a yearly basis. Would we also have to add that Elko County would be willing to accept
Pro
that
rata.
we take that amount that's paid on a yearly basis, multiply it by 12, and that would be the monthly amount that we pay them on a month-to-month basis?
It would be prorated, yes.
Well, it depends on what they want. They have different amounts. In the existing contract, it's different from the proposed contract.
I get that. I'm referring to the old contract.
So we want to see, the important part here is this motion contemplates that the yearly contract will expire on June 30th and that we will approach Elko in a special meeting with their board and ask them to extend the existing contract with the existing term on a month-to-month basis until we can get our own library up and running. That's my understanding.
You're correct, Ted.
So I second that motion.
Okay, so as long, I just wanna make sure everybody understands. So Patsy, are you understanding what we're doing?
And this all hinges on Elko accepting. If
Accepting.
not, then we're gonna move in the direction of putting our own county library.
Okay, we don't need to say anything pro rata because we even have retirement that we have to pay for.
It's all gonna have to be prorated.
But the retirement won't be prorated, that's ours. So I mean, there's all kinds of things that have to be
Yes,
considered.
yes. So, there's Art made the motion, Brian seconded it, so, you wanna go all in favor?
Aye?
Aye,
Aye.
opposed?
Nay,
Motion passes.
Yeah, so I just wanna make
I
sure
would
that
ask,
when me and Ted, whenever this meeting happens with Elko County Library, that we also, when we bring it back to you guys, that we'll be good stewards as well. I'd like Elko County to know that if we need to extend on our end to help them get things in place for an additional month or two, that we wanna work both ways.
Absolutely.
Common
So,
courtesy, yes.
yeah, so I just want that to be known on the record for whoever's on with Elko County as well, so when we move
And I
forward,
would
and we
like
go into this
people to
meeting.
make sure that they know that these libraries, that we're not closing these libraries, that and libraries can be ran by counties, and that we make sure that we
Run.
absolutely do the very best that we can for our community.
Yes.
So, are we good to go?
Hold it
Did you have something, Ted?
politically.
Go
ahead.
Kathy,
Yes.
I'd like to move to number 11. I have limited amount of time before I see the next surgeon.
Okay, all right. All right, we're going to head,
Number 8.
he wanted me to number 11.
Oh, he did? Okay.
Yeah, okay, so for the Recreation Center, for discussion and possible action we're gonna move to 11. For discussion and possible action to approve, disapprove Lander County's sponsorship of 3 youth camps at the Lander County, Recreation Center for the summer of 2021, and to include the following: a wrestling camp, $3,000 to be paid to the wrestling coordinator. B, no cost to the Lander County participants. C, $30 to all out-of-town participants. 2, swim camp, an amount not to exceed $4,000 to Lander County participants. Number 4, volleyball camp, A, an amount not to exceed $6,000 for Lander County participants.
So what's it all about?
Okay, good morning, Commissioners. So the first one is a wrestling camp that would be hosted by Lander County and the Rec Center. We found a wrestling coordinator back east that is actually from Battle Mountain, who puts on wrestling camps. I've talked to Don Magala with the high school and the wrestling team. He wants to bring them over. They didn't have a wrestling season this year either, so this is kind of coordinates with that, but he wants to do this every year.
So my question is, how long is the camp, and is there only one, or do they have a choice of a couple times?
It's 1 week, it's a set time in July.
That's it, if they couldn't make that week, it's not another,
Well, we can look at doing more if you want me to, Betsy.
no, but the 3,000 is for 1 week only.
1 week.
That's it?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, and for the volleyball camp, so they take 24 students, and we did this last year, but the students paid for it. And you gotta have a minimum of 24, and that's where that 6,000 comes from too.
That's the same thing, 1 week?
Yes.
You know, I still would like to see us charge something very, very small. What does a wrestling camp usually charge if you go, or a volleyball camp?
The volleyball camp, I think that's the backup.
Hold on, you can't compare what we're trying to do with a camp, Patsy, because when you go away to a camp, that includes your housing and your food. So, but let me add this about this person that is interested in coming back to town. Richie Cox wrestled for 10 years in Battle Mountain. He was a 3-time state champion. He wrestled through college, and now he does camps in the South. So we're very fortunate to have Richie come forward and want to assist us, especially after a year of COVID and the kids having no exercise.
No, I understand what you're saying as far as the camps, but rather than just giving it free and looking at the county with free, I think, and if I was a parent and it was something small, I'd say, you want to go cut the lawn, go make some money. You know, I mean, if we do, $15 for the week, and if they can't afford that, maybe offer some scholarships or something. I mean, I think we need to do it. It needs to be there. But just to say, yeah, let's just open it, because what if you're full and now you've got kids that couldn't make it, that should have made it, and...
Well, my 2 cents on it
Muted.
is, I I don't know
Unmuted.
if it's something you do every single year, but this particular year with the whole COVID and everything, I think it's so important that we get our kids back into participation, the social aspect of things, and I feel it's so important, and I would
I
be
agree,
willing to
but,
support.
but when you open it up to everybody, it doesn't necessarily, the means you might have to cut it off, and some of the ones that should be in there, really caring about wrestling that might continue, might not be able to go. I mean, because we have a cutoff, right? I
No,
mean,
not
how
for
many
the
people
wrestling
you
or the
take?
swim.
Wrestling or the swim.
The volleyball camp, that's actually a minimum. So they need a minimum of 24, and they had 24 last year.
Okay.
Exactly. So if there's more, that we could always, you can make a motion to flex with that if there's more. That 6,000, I think we actually calculated 27 students, because they had 24 last year.
So yeah,
So,
24
but then they also
And
come
how
back
much-
into an environment where in the rec center without masks, normal playing sports, normal life, normal back to.
And are we drawing people from other towns and stuff to come to these camps?
So as far as wrestling goes, they've invited Winnemucca and Elko, Domagala has, and all the other surrounding, and all the coaches are waiting to see what happens today, but they're all very interested in participating.
Which I might add too, you're bringing people into your community, motels, food, gas, groceries, so there's that trade-off as well.
So yeah, there's not a limit at this
You know,
point.
if we didn't have the money
Yeah.
It's just,
to do this, I would say, yeah, we need to have kids pay. But since we have the money, this is a scholarship for those kids, the way I look at it.
So yeah, there's not a limit on how many can go this year, and then next year we can reevaluate it if they want to charge a minimal fee for them to.
yeah, if we want to do this a yearly thing, I don't think it's free every year either. I think maybe we go back to the drawing board and come back with something for every year cost or something along them lines.
Hey Ted, and it's legally sound that it'd be a county sponsorship?
Yes, this has been agendized for one summer of 1 year.
Okay.
That's it.
So let's just get a motion.
I'll make a motion.
Huh?
I'd like to make a motion
Oh.
that we approve the Lander County sponsorship of 3 youth camps at the Lander County Recreation Center the summer of 2021.
Okay, Art, before I second, there's public comment I'd like to hear.
Okay. So, I agree with Patsy a little bit. I mean, you can make the fees $5, and I say this because if you make it free, kids are gonna go just to hang out. And they're gonna go and they're gonna disrupt the camp. You want kids that are gonna go because they want to learn what's being taught. And I can honestly tell you, on some of these camps, if it gets disrupted too much, they won't bring it back. I mean, yeah, you got the wrestling guy that's from here, that he'll probably come back, but you get kids in there just hanging out with other kids, and it's going to be a ruckus. Because I've coached, I've taken my kid to camps, I've watched kids disrupt, and I've watched them not come back because of the disruptions. I don't care if you make it $2 for them to show up, but make it something so that parents try to make the kid be responsibly behaved during that event.
So what age groups are we talking about?
I have public comment.
Okay.
I have full faith in the coaches that are in there coaching these kids, and I've been to many camps, and whether you paid $200 or whether you paid $5, the coaches are the ones that hold you accountable, not the parent that's dropping you off in the parking lot.
But you're
And
disrupted.
I have seen kids get forced to run. The camp does not become fun for the ones that are there to hang out. These are, you know, this is for our kids in this community. I think that anything we can do for the kids right now from the year that they just came off of is a huge benefit, and I'm fully for anything that they support, just on the basis of what these kids have come off of this year. If the coaches want to make them do push-ups and hold them accountable in the camp, that's where they're held accountable, not by the parent that's dropping them off. That's just my personal opinion.
You're 100% right, and I will guarantee you that during that wrestling camp, there won't be one person standing around or sitting around. They're going to be busy.
Okay, any more public comment?
Any other public?
So my motion's on the floor.
Okay, no public comment, I'll second the motion.
Thank you, Brian.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed?
Aye.
Okay. Aye, all right.
Thank
Is
you
that
for
an
your pro-kid attitude. Thank you.
Thank you,
I'm
Commissioner.
off to my second surgeon appointment.
Thanks, Art.
All right. back to number 8.
So on number 8, the reason this is even on the agenda, previously this has never been on the agenda. It was just signed either by the previous chairs. If I had been authorized to sign it, I'd have just signed it and sent it back. This is a formality. This is NNRDA's job is to go out and look for proposals, and I just wanted to make sure that the whole commission was aware of it before our chair signed it, just for our chair's sake.
I'll make a motion that we approve the recommendation signed by the chair for the Northern Nevada Regional Development Authority.
All right, a second? I'll second. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay. No, art was still on there or not. For discussion and possible action to approve, disapprove the settlement agreement between the Laborers International Union of North America and Local 169 and Lander County, currently in front of the Nevada State Labor Commission.
Do we need litigation on this?
He's gonna call.
Yes, we need a litigation meeting.
So
please.
can we defer this maybe and get, because I know there's some other people here to speak on some other issues?
Yeah.
Can we do that?
Can we go ahead and defer this one?
Yeah,
All right.
maybe take
Are
that
we
one last.
deferring it, or we just?
We're just gonna,
You're just gonna hold it.
we're gonna hold it until later.
Yeah,
Till
we're not
later
gonna
on,
defer
because
it.
we have people who've been sitting here for. So, we're gonna go ahead on 10, for discussion and possible action to approve or disapprove the closure of the Lander County Pool located in the Recreation Center September 6, 2021, September 24th, 2021 for the dehumidifying project, and to allow the closure of the entire facility within the time to refinish the gym floors.
So when they redo the gym floors, the fumes are really bad. They have to close down the rec center. He's trying to do the dehumidifier and all of that at the same time. The people that are working on the dehumidifier, they're gonna have lifts and stuff over the pool that can create some issues. So that's all they're asking to do.
Okay.
You're good, man.
Sorry.
Yeah.
I'll make a motion to approve the closure of the Lander County Pool located in the Recreation Center, September 6th, 2021 through September 24th, 2021 for the dehumidifier project, and to allow the closure of the entire facility within that time to finish the gym floor.
All right, do you have a second?
I'll second the motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you, commissioners.
Thanks.
Thank you.
All right, number 12, the discussion of possible action to approve, disapprove the commissioners to sponsor and pay for jerseys for the Battle Mountain Little League All-Star teams to be paid for out of the miscellaneous grant line items in the amount not to exceed $3,500. All right, you're on.
Okay, Commissioners, Mike Spears.
You're,
Commissioner Mike Spears from the Battle Mountain Little League president. We had the honor this year to be able to bring our ball players in the community to allow them to be able to play baseball again, because we kind of got shut down last year. This year has been a great success. We had incredibly high number turnouts this year, so we're thankful for that. This request was, we got notified from the district, from Winnemucca, for our District 3 President Katie, that we would be host a all-star tournament here in Battle Mountain. So for us to be able to have the time to get fundraising completed, we have very minimum time to be able to get this done. So we're just asking if we could get some assistance in funding and sponsoring the Little League for these kids. We have approximately 45 all-stars this year to put into the tournament, so represent the community very well. That's what this request is for.
Well,
when is All-Stars?
It's
All-Stars is
exciting.
June 18th through 20th. We did have a meeting last night, so we're still waiting pending a couple approvals from some teams saying they're gonna come from White Pine. So I will tell you that the date may change from the 17th to the 20th, but right now it's pending 18th to 20 June. Here in Battle Mountain at our 2 baseball fields over by the junior high.
Nice, very nice.
So let me ask, other than the fundraising, you know, which I know they do sometimes, do you ever have a sponsor that steps in and just does the whole thing with their name on it?
So, say again, ma'am?
An actual sponsor, you know, like Ormat or one of the mines or something like that?
Right, so we have had, well, we ask for our annual sponsors, like the sponsors, the banners and items like that, and we've taken those funds and we had to cover the COVID protocol mandated by the governor of everything we had to buy for the kids. So like everybody had to have their own helmet, we had to buy all new bats, all new baseballs, and stuff like that. So we have utilized some of our sponsors that are locally.
Okay,
If that answers your question.
I'm sure we're going to approve this because we want to see them look good in our area, and we're happy you're going to have it here. But may I also suggest, before you spend our money, that you contact Ormat and tell them it's an all-star league, and ask them, geothermal just is not paying their share on some of the things that, you know, the mines step up to do. And something like this, where they can put their name on it too, I think would be something they might be really ready to consider.
Okay.
So would you do that for me?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you have a contact possibly for him, Patsy, or could we get him a contact?
You bet we do. Yeah, and they do things quickly. They don't have to, we have to wait for our meeting. We only meet once a year, you know, one of those things. And I don't think we've asked them for anything in a long time, so.
Yeah, I just don't have that contact information now.
Bert will have it for you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Excuse me, Commissioner,
Yes,
I have a question for clarification's sake. Now, if you approve this, it says for Battle Mountain Little League All-Star teams. Does that just include Battle Mountain kids?
that's just our kids.
Or kids from all over?
That's just for Battle
That
Mountain.
are on these teams?
Correct.
Just for Battle Mountain.
Just for Battle Mountain, yeah. I'd like to point out too, it's just, again, I'm all about supporting the kids at this time in our lives, and I do like to see that this is all from a local business too, so I do appreciate that. So, King's Custom Embroidery, they're a local business here, so.
Yeah, and the timeline is to be able to
18
get the
days
uniforms.
is not very long.
Get them completed, cause, you know,
You can do it.
she's like a one-person crew with their little kids helping her, so her timeline is crucial to, for this also,
Well, yeah.
so.
So do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion that we approve, let me see. That the commission to sponsor and pay for jerseys for the Battle Mountain Little League All-Stars team to be paid for out of the miscellaneous grant line item in the amount not to exceed $3,500.
So just a quick clarification on that, if you will. This says pay for jerseys, and yet I notice you have the pants and everything in here, and hats and everything. Is the $3,500 just for the jerseys?
It's for all the.
It's everything, whole uniform.
Whole uniform.
Okay, then we want to change our motion a
Motion
little
needs to
bit.
be done.
Also,
Terry.
I'll amend my motion, instead of saying for jerseys, it would be for uniforms.
Uniforms.
Yeah, it's a complete
And I-
uniform now.
Pardon?
It's a complete uniform.
I will second the motion.
Okay, so Brian made the motion, Patsy second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And then Mike, if you would just get us the invoice, so we'll pay off the actual invoice.
It's in the packet.
You got it.
Aye.
And I do have one.
Is it a quote or an invoice?
It's she has the invoice.
I can have Sammy.
Yeah, just make sure that it says invoice, because if we can't pay off a quote.
Okay, I'll text her so we're done, I'll have her email.
Okay, when you contact Ormat, they'll need something, a request in writing, which you do. Just tell them what it is. They can get back to you within 2 or 3 days. They'll give you the authorization or not. And then you can say, well, I can have the county pay for it ahead of time, you know, because we have to send it in, and they can reimburse the county. So, but they can do it for you, so try it out. And that way, we have more money in our miscellaneous account, because it's very limited.
Right. And my next question was, after talking last night, Kayla and I were the district president. We had to send a welcome letter out to the teams that are coming, give them information about lodging, the facilities, what we're doing here for the All-Stars. We need to request.
Lander County Convention and Tourism?
From Bert, a lot of the questions were asked, were they able to park or have a designated parking area for the RVs due to limited lodging, since so many people are coming to a small community to be able to facilitate that. So like a couple of them, Katie recommended that there's a designated area by the ball field where they could set up, you know, their fifth wheel for the weekend.
You know, that's kind of hard because you're taking away from our businesses first.
Absolutely not.
Okay.
Yeah, I think I'd reached out or they'd reached out and I'd spoke with them and like I said, we don't compete with local business, so, you know, they're welcome to BLM ground anywhere they'd like or anything like that, but we can't actually provide a spot for them to tell them to designate for them.
Yeah, that was just a question that was asked last night. I said to bring it to. Okay.
Lori,
Thank
are
you,
you here for
Commissioners.
18? You'll come on, so
Thank
you
you.
don't have to sit any longer.
Thanks, Mike.
Thank you, Mike. All right, we're gonna move ahead to 18 and then go back. For possible action to approve, disapprove the request by Lander County Historical Society, also known as the Lander County Historical Society, also known as the Lander County Historical Society and Museum, to utilize the Lander County surveyor and prepare a parcel map combining APN 002-200-14 and APN 002-200-15 into one parcel. This will enable them to move forward with the plans expanding the Courthouse Museum by adding a mock rail depot.
Hi, Lori Price, Lander County Historical Society.
Hello.
Hi, so my question is, it says that you want to utilize our county surveyor. Okay, and that's wonderful, I think you're more than welcome to do that, but would that be at our cost or your cost?
That's the reason it's on the agenda, is to see if the county would allow
Because all it
them
says
as their sponsor.
is utilize, it doesn't say that we will pay for it, but you want us to pay for it?
Yes.
Okay, Commissioners,
Yes?
if we utilize the Lander County surveyor, we do pay for it. Anytime he's utilized, Lander County pays for it.
Okay, I wanted to be sure.
It's your,
I mean, I assumed that, but I didn't want to assume, yeah. Thank you, Ed.
okay.
Thank
So,
you, Ted.
and I'd like to clear up something else too. What this is, if we pay our Lander County surveyor to do it, it will be a lot less expensive than if she hired her own surveyor to do it. A lot less expensive.
I thought you just wanted to hire him. No, I'm kidding. It's okay. It's okay.
And further, if you guys approve this, because we are their sponsor by contract, if you approve this, it's definitely legal, number one. But number two, she would have to then, once she gets the parcel map, she would have to go forward on her own to the planning commission. The Lander County cannot do that part for her.
Right.
Got it.
As long as Lori understands that.
She did.
I understand that.
Okay. Then everyone understands it. Fine, thank you.
Kayla, Lori, do we know the cost associated with the surveying?
Actually, I don't. Do you? Not specific. This we haven't. I haven't personally seen since I've been in here. I know we've done other, just like for roads
Right.
and things, and that was, I think it cost us about $1,100 when we
Okay.
did. There was 2 roads that I had
Okay.
had done for the county.
Okay, thank you. Any questions?
I don't have any.
All right, I'd make a motion that we approve a request by Lander County Historical Society, also known as Lander County Historical Society and Museum, to utilize Lander County Surveyor to prepare a parcel map combining APN 002-200-14 and APN 002-200-15 into one parcel. This will enable them to move forward with plans of expanding the Courthouse Museum by adding a mock rail depot, and Lander County will be paying the surveyor.
All right, second.
I'll second the motion.
Brian made the motion, Patsy second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I,
All right, very good.
Thank you
Good to
very
go.
much.
Thank you. All right. 14, going back to 14, for discussion and possible action to approve, disapprove the agreement between Lander County and, oh, we're on
13.
13, I'm sorry, jumped out of spot and confused me. All right, sorry about that, going back up to 13, for discussion and possible action to approve, disapprove the Lander County final budget FY 21-22 and for their submissions to the Department of Taxation.
Okay, Lake and Sullivan, for the record, I just wanted to let you guys know the changes that were made from the tentative to the final. The county manager salaries, wages, and benefits were decreased because we took the 2% out. And that's the same for the road and bridge, landfill, golf course, and parks. And then we did have to increase salaries and wages and benefits for a part-time janitor in Austin in the building department. And then we increased the service and supplies for search and rescue, building utilities, and an increase in the donation expenses for the sheriff's department. And then we also increased the salaries, wages, and benefits for the library for a part-time employee for Austin. And then Battle Mountain Town, there was an increase in operations to pay for one employee at the museum per the agreement that you guys already discussed.
Lincoln, what a job. Very nice. I did have one question, just one.
Okay.
And that's on our, the NPM Future Reserve Fund.
Mm-hmm.
Did we, end up with an amount on that? I didn't notice one. I didn't.
No, I didn't put a budgeted amount in there. We can always put money in there later on in the year if we choose to, but because I wasn't sure on our net proceeds for next year, I didn't put a budgeted number. And we usually don't put budgeted net proceed numbers in there because you never know what you're going to receive.
So taxation's okay with that?
Yes.
Okay.
You can always add money even though it's not budgeted.
Nice job.
Okay. You have a motion?
I will make a motion that we approve the Lander County final budget for the fiscal year 21-22 and for their submission to the Department of Taxation with any appropriate signatures.
I'll second the motion.
Patsy made the motion, Brian second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Lakin.
All right. Now we're on to 14, for discussion and possible action to approve the agreement between Lander County and Day Engineering for professional services for Mountain View Golf Course in the amount not to exceed $23,000. Agreement is attached.
So this is with Day Engineering. We do have Marty Ugaldi with Day Engineering on the phone, and this is for the pond lining that is going in out there at the golf course. It's an approved project, and now we're just getting the approval for the engineer to start on the engineering of the project.
And it will be completed this year, the project, do you think?
No, it will be completed after July 1. We're starting the engineering now so we can get this project fired up July 1.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean this fiscal year. I meant it will be completed.
Oh, yes.
This summer?
Most certainly.
Uh-huh. Do we have to go out to bid, or is the county gonna do the work?
Yes, no, we are going out to bid, but this is for the engineering services of it.
Okay, so when I looked at the back, and it looks like everything was signed,
Okay, so about that, this was signed previously, but this item had not come in front of the board. So there is a clean copy that will have to be re-signed and dated for today, and Peggy has that, and we'll get with Bert and Ted on that.
thank you, I appreciate that clarification. So I'll make a motion, we approve the agreement between Lander County and Day Engineering for professional services for Mountain View Golf Course in the amount not to exceed $23,000. A new agreement will be attached.
All right, do I have a second?
I second the motion.
All right. So Patsy made the motion, Brian second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, for discussion of possible action to approve, disapprove the contract between Lander County and John J. Peters, MD, for services of community health, medical director and deputy county health officer.
So the only modifications to this contract are the deputy county health officer. He's taking on additional duties, working with our new health officer, Dr. Troy Ross. So that's only changes from the previous contract we had with Doc Peters.
Commissioner, furthermore, you've already approved. We're just asking you to approve the contract for it.
I couldn't hear what you said,
I couldn't either.
Okay, you've already approved. There's two contracts within this, one contract. You've approved them both, but you haven't formally approved the contract form. That's what we're asking you to do today.
So you've already approved both positions for Dr. Peters. We have just combined it into one contract, and the contract hasn't actually come in front of you.
Okay.
So you're just you're approving the actual contract in front of you.
Okay.
Okay, so the only question that I had on this one, and I'm sure you can help me, it says that he actually can perform up to 3 non-emergent visits, up to 3 hours, a non-emergent visit to the jail a week. And does he do that? Do you utilize that?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Do we need more than 3 hours?
Robert Cook for the Sheriff's Office, we absolutely utilize those. And Dr. Peters, in conjunction with our health nurse, come over when we call and on a scheduled basis as well. So it's worked out very well for the Sheriff's
Okay with
Office.
It saves lots of money.
Yeah, but this he does under his contract.
Yeah, I know, but they had to take him to the hospital for
Oh,
any of that
yeah,
stuff.
emergency services, we pay separate, of course.
Okay. So do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion that we approve the contract between Lander County and John J. Peters, MD, for services of community health, medical director, and deputy county health officer.
All right, a second?
And authorize?
And authorize the chair to sign.
Second?
Second.
All right, so Brian made the motion, Patsy seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, very good. All right, for discussion of possible action to approve, disapprove the appointment of one individual to serve as an alternate on the Austin Airport Advisory Board, which currently has one vacancy. New terms are 2 years from July 1st, 2021 through June 30th, 2023, and to consider all of the following applicants to include Champy Douglas.
This is so exciting for Austin to actually have our complete board with an alternate, finally. And Mr. Douglas has not only decided to be on this advisory board, but he's actually come back to spend each summer with us in the community, and he's doing all kinds of wonderful things. So we are excited, and I will make a motion that we appoint Champy Douglas to serve as an alternate on the Austin Airport Advisory Board. And that will be from July 1st, 2021 through June 30th, 2023.
Very good. Second?
I'll second that.
All right, so Patsy made the motion, Brian second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye?
Aye.
All right, very good.
And our thank
Thank you
yous.
to him. All right, for discussion and possible action to approve, disapprove the memorandum of agreement between the Department of Interior, Bureau of Bureau of Land Management, Battle Mountain District, and Lander County.
Hi.
I see this is just for actually our emergency evacuation site for our Eleanor Lemire Elementary School. So I make a motion, we approve the memorandum of agreement between the Department of Interior, Bureau of Land Management, and the Battle Mountain District Office and Lander County. And let's see, we authorize our Lander County manager,
I'd like to hear from you.
to sign. Here's my motion, and here you are.
Sorry, I'm Jess Harvey. I'm with Bureau of Land Management. I'm the Public Affairs Officer over there. We do have an agreement with the school, but that's not what this agreement is for. This agreement, so we have an agreement, existing agreement with the school that if they have an emergency situation and they have to relocate, they can relocate to our district office here and operate out of there. This agreement is an agreement we have an existing one with you, but we need to update it. We're updating our emergency plans. This one is if there is an emergency that requires us to relocate out of the district building.
That we step in here instead.
Right, correct. Our alternate is the air tanker base. That's the first place where our leadership would go to operate out of. Our second alternate is listed as the old Lander County Annex on 2nd Street. And so it's just an agreement saying that if there's an emergency, we can't go to our first one, that we can still utilize that building.
You know what though? It says in here that we shall provide an alternate relocation site, and the fact that the other one's unaccessible, and the relocation site is located at Lander County Courthouse here. That's the way the contract reads. I'm sorry, not a contract, the MOA.
You're correct. You are absolutely correct. Our plan is.
So do we need to change that?
Yes, I will get you a new copy.
Okay, I withdraw my motion and we'll defer this.
Yeah, I'll bring it back at the next meeting.
Thank you. I'm sorry you had to wait so long to do that.
That's right. My pleasure.
Okay.
Thank you.
So is there anything we have left is the
We have the legal.
legal? Okay.
This is the budget? Where's the final number on the budget? I was looking for it, right? So, it's 93, let me see, government expenses, so $93 million.
Well, that was quick.
What was it last year?
No, so, yeah, cause they were signing stuff, so. Okay, we need to.
All the stuff that we had in capital.
So, all right, so we're gonna go to number 9 and go
So right
to a
here.
closed litigation meeting,
I gotta sign off, how many copies?
I guess.
This conference is no longer being recorded. Muted.
This
By
is
the
the
way,
total number, or
the
is it that
22nd
plus
is
this
okay
plus
for
this?
me in June.
It is. I don't know what it's gonna take to put it together with Ted.
Morning, afternoon.
So do I just
Don't
take
make
that
it
off?
9 if you make
No,
it 9.
it can be any time of the day.
Okay.
Who's on the,
Thank you.
who's on the bridge line?
Austin Bond.
Austin.
Yeah. Okay, we're gonna go into closed litigation, we will be back.
Tell her she doesn't need to come back for, all we have left is correspondence.
Well, can we just take her off the bridge?
Motion on what we discussed in closed litigation.
No, oh, shoot.
Yes.
I was gonna,
Make a decision in the closed litigation.
yeah, but if nobody's there. Is anybody there, Michelle?
No, just me.
Yeah,
This is
just
gonna be a 10 or 15 minute deal.
let her go. She doesn't have to be there to hear it.
Okay. Yes.
Okay, no, you're done for today. You can go ahead and go on lunch.
Just hang on.
But I was thinking that Michelle needs to stay there, cause we gotta reconvene this meeting for you guys to approve
My
or
apologies.
disapprove.
She still has to
This
be on
item,
the
she has
phone.
to, Michelle,
She
you
has
need
to be
stay.
on the meeting.
All back?
Yeah, so we'll call, do we call her back?
No, I call you.
We will
Just stay
open the
online.
meeting back up and she still has to be in there because our agenda.
I was gonna let her
Okay, so
go,
just
I was
to
gonna
the
let her
other
go home.
All right, we're gonna just move to the other room, just stay on the line for us, pretty please.
Kathy, can you sign these?
Ted, will you hang up and I'll call you?
Perfect.
This conference will now be recorded.
So I just open it back to,
Unmuted.
You're gonna open it back up and then you guys can make the motion.
okay. Am I good to go?
Yep.
All right, we're gonna open the meeting back up. So we'll go back to number 9, for discussion and possible action to approve, disapprove the settlement agreement between the Laborers International Union of Northern America, good grief, Local 169 in Lander County, currently in front of the Nevada State Labor Commission. So, do I have a motion to accept?
I'll make a motion, we approve the settlement agreement between the Laborers International Union of North America Local 169 and Lander County, which is currently in front of the Nevada State Labor Commission.
A second?
Do we authorize our county manager to sign on that?
Is it the chair, Ted, is it the chair to sign?
Well, there's no name on it.
It is,
I believe that since I'm involved in that, it should be the chair.
Oh, okay,
Okay.
all right.
it
So
should
then
be the
authorize
chair,
chair
and
to
and
sign.
it doesn't really say, it just says name and title.
And authorize the chair to sign.
Second?
All right. Brian made the motion, Patrick second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. That's it, is that it? Other than a motion, any other public comment?
Wait a minute, we still have number 19.
19?
Correspondence
sorry.
reports and future agenda items.
So correspondence?
On future items, how about our fire restrictions? So we'll be looking at that soon?
The burn ban? The burn ban?
Yeah,
Yeah, I got it. I got it noted. for the
you
next
got it?
meeting.
It's about time. I know, it's all
And then the
crazy.
old courthouse?
I got it.
Okay.
I would like to, maybe if this commission would like to consider hearing something on 5G, internet.
Yes, I'd like to discuss 5G. I'd also like to look at, we had passed the resolution on vaccine passports, and I had brought up the point of possibly having an ordinance to give that resolution some teeth. I'd like to discuss that as well.
Anything other? So do we have any, beyond that, public comment?
The last public comment is Veterans Day, Memorial Day is coming up, and I think that it's a big deal. I should have said this at the start of the meeting when we had a full audience here, but, hats off to all the veterans. Thanks for our freedom.
Yeah. Amen.
And y'all have a wonderful Memorial Day.
Yes.
Looks like weather-wise, it's gonna be nice. We had the bad weather last weekend.
Yeah.
This weekend's gonna be sunny.
And if no other further public comment, do I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second?
All right, Brian made the motion, Happy second, all in favor?
Aye.
This conference is no longer being recorded.